We arrive at the home of the British of Silverstone, UK, the host of British Motorsport in the UK, I wanted to say. And we also arrive at the second round of the mini British GT season 2025 here for the second round. Next to me is obviously our beautiful co-commentator Adam Reed, and behind the screen is our beautiful broadcaster Ash Bibby, and we wait for qualifying to commence as we wait roughly 1 minute and 20 seconds still for qualifying to begin. Given we just saw a little bit of practice, Adam, I think the field is very shaken up compared to what we had last race.
Hi Dan, yes, absolutely. The field is very much going to be super competitive. There are going to be plenty of opportunities as the qualifying lights down at the end of the pit lane goes green, and we're already seeing some very tight maneuvers there and on pit road. So the drivers will be looking to go out. Of course, the first 10 minutes, or well, 11 minutes. Realistically, it will be our GT3s that are heading out onto the circuit as they look around this beautiful Silverstone circuit, the home of British motorsport. We got one car already sideways. I believe that was one of our Porsches, but it looks like for now it is going to be the exploratory laps where you realistically do not get much time for as a GT3 driver or as a GT4 driver. You both realistically get 10 minutes. These guys are just cleaning the track for our GT4 drivers, but it just kind of avoids a lot of traffic on the circuit. We've got a huge entry list as well, so it really does show that this series is getting ever popular.
86 cars on track. I hear the last time 36 actually, which is the same as last time. The last time we had predicted 38 cars, but 36 cars ended on the grid. 19 GT3s, 19 GT4s. But back to Adam, your I think it was your second point. The lap is indeed long, 1.9 kilometers longer than Donington Park, which means the Silverstone circuit is 5.9 kilometers long, which is quite a long distance. A Silverstone lap in GT3s normally takes around 2 minutes ish, if I remember correctly. A bit lower for the faster drivers. A 2 minute dead, a 2 minute one for maybe the back end of the pack. And that means, like Adam said, you have to get a lap in very quickly. You have to get a good reference lap, not only for your time on the board, but also for your confidence in the session. Because if you can get a good lap in early, then you can build on that lap and you're not as nervous if you get a good lap in later in the session. Because if you get a good lap in again, then you can just build on that lap and not think, oh I need to get a good lap in first. I can't make a mistake, because the thing that kills you is pressure in qualifying. John Dalton for Nearly On Pace Racing in his BMW did fairly well last race in his BMW. See how all the cars stacked up. Philippe Breccia, it was last time, who drove dominantly not only in quali but also in the race. He was in the Mercedes. I'm quite curious how the manufacturers rank up here today.
It will be interesting for sure. I believe actually Jordan Daly was actually in the Aston Martin last time around at Donington Park. So same with the British brand. Of course, their Formula One team is located just across the road from the Silverstone entrance. So heading towards the famous Maggots and Beckers. It's not as quite as mystical as a single seater, but it's still very quick. You've really got to push those limits in a GT car. Just make sure you're right on the limit through every single corner, through every single ounce you're throwing this at. Really see that there's going to be a lot of these drivers. In terms of laps, you're looking at, well, about 4 laps here for the GT for the GT3, potentially even 3 for a GT4. You've just got to be pushing those tyres the absolute maximum before you can then send it through over the line, and hopefully get your best lap time in. So the track is currently looking pretty dusty at this moment in time. Still needing a line to be clean for all these cars, but of course with the amount of cars that we have on track at this moment in time, even if it is just the GT3s, there's still going to be a lot of track cleaning doing with those tyres underneath them. And Gordon Taylor, you can see he's getting very, very twitchy with that Aston Martin, just trying to put it at the lowest traction possible as he nails as he goes now down the straight. And new some equipment there for Jordan Daly as well, using our equipment.
And if you're new to this mini British GT season here at RCI, given we're just in the second round, first in qualifying the GT3s go out. The GT3s have 11 minutes on the clock in this 21-minute qualifying session, and then after those 11 minutes it's time for the GT4s to make their way on the grid in this race. So it's first the GT3s like we are seeing now, and then after we will get the GT4s, the slower GT4s, but they will have maybe slightly more track benefit, not more grip, just track benefit, because the GT4 is obviously a slower class compared to the GT3. Our pole sitter last time and our race winner last time, Philip Breccia, currently nearly 5/10 off the pace. See if Philip Breccia can get a better lap in that Mercedes. Again, I was wondering how the manufacturer ranked up in Silverstone in this qualifying session. It seems that the Porsches are doing very well. There's a Ferrari in the name of Andy Portman currently in P3, then there's Badowski, then it's Breccia, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Porsches in the top 6. But Philip Breccia coming through the last corner now, through Laffield, and then the flat right-hander that's called Woodcote, yes, and he will go over the line. It will be probably a 1:57. Will it be a better time though? Not for Philip Breccia this time, so he stays P5 on the grid, but that can change any moment soon. We still have 4 minutes ish, 3 minutes, 4 minutes on the clock for the GT3s. This is Jean Sebastian in Porsche team Schumi Skins. Yes, Skins in the 911 Porsche, 7/10 off the lead. See if the Porsche driver can improve himself, but we quite have some time on the clock. Roughly 2 laps, maybe 1 lap, depending on where you will cross the line, when you will cross the line. Catalan in lane, John Dalton in pit lane, finding himself in P4 at the current moment. Great qualifying so far for John Dalton, but Jean Sebastian coming through the last corner now onto Woodcote. Can he improve his position? 7/10 off the lead he is. What will it be this time around? It will be P4, 3/10 off the lead, and that's an impressive lap. And now we have Porsche in the top 4.
Yeah, really impressive there for Porsche here in the Mini British GT Championship. Usually in real life, this has been won multiple times by BMW with Darren Leung and Dan Harper, 2-time winners at the Silverstone 500 in real life. And of course, they've both gone on to pastures new. In fact, Darren Leung has gone on to compete at Le Mans. It may not have been a finish for the Briton, but for sure he's going to hopefully come back, and they will actually rejoice at Spa next, not this weekend coming up, but the next weekend. So stay tuned for that, and seeing our 2 former British GT champions go head-to-head around the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, Spa will also be on our Mini British GT calendar as well. Stay tuned for that one. I believe it's actually the next round up. So no, that's going to be round 4, my error, because they're actually racing at that circuit this weekend. Anyway, Carlos Catalund in the Mercedes number 30, around in 11th. We've really not got much time left on the clock here.
Ooh.
2.5 minutes to be exact, and it's Niels Engelhardt in his 992 Porsche up ahead. But look at Philip Breccia, he's now put himself up into P3. He only's got 2 and a bit tenths to gain up to back there. But look at that, Catalund has now taken that 3rd place spot, so it's an all Mercedes 2nd row.
Calatayud, the Spaniard, making his mark in England, but both Mercedes, as you say, making their mark here in qualifying, splitting the Porsches 1, 2, 5, 6 now. Let's see if Nicolas Kellec can be any danger towards the top, for the top in his McLaren, in his British McLaren. P14, it is P14, it might... Still is no P12 for Nicolas Kellec, the Frenchman, who might still drive one more lap in McLaren, who has that that livery looks awfully familiar to a modified Peugeot livery. Not sure what's going on there, but Tobias Sonntag, the German, now almost coming across the line. He has a couple of more corners to go. BMW not looking too strong here today. John Dalton did have a good provisional qualifying early in the session, but he falls down the order as qualifying is progressing. The GT4 is almost ready to go out. Tobias Sonntag in his BMW, can he make the difference later on in qualifying? It was P8, it stays P8, and we have Mercedes over the line. That's Philip Breccia, and Philip Breccia goes to P1 momentarily. And can Engelhardt or Catalan change that? Or maybe Nico Kumpu, if he still has a lap. Diego Catalan, the Spaniard, does he improve? He doesn't. That's not the finish line. It's actually the main straight for F1. I got a bit confused there, but the Spaniard still on a lap. Maybe he can make a difference. Kumpu still on a lap. Not sure if it's too late for Kumpu. 2 up, I hear. So Kumpu has the potential. John Dalton is still there. Andy Portman, the lone Ferrari, is also still there. Diego Catalan in his Porsche, known for that rear engine in the back. Can he extract the most out of it in the straights? Can he extract the most out of the Porsche in the corners? Coming through the final couple of corners now. Can the Spaniard make a difference in England once again? And Diego Catalan... Is this potential P1? I hear Diego Catalan again through the last corner. It is P3. Will it be P1? It won't be P1. It was an invalidation, so there's only one car more to go, Adam, and his name is Nico Kumpu.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico Kumpu there is going to be raising the flag high for the English manufacturers. In the top 9, 8 places are filled by German manufacturers, making up of 2 Mercedes, 4 Porsches and 2 BMWs, and they are really going to be, of course, all done on this one, as Nico Kumpu will be looking to make his way around that final corner. I wonder if he'll have to come into the pit lane, especially if the lap is down nowhere near up. I'm being told in my ears that he's going to come round and potentially pull it into the pit lane, which is exactly what he does, and on towards our GT4 qualifying. But that is a great pole position there in the GT3 by Philip Brescia. But now our attention now turns to Thibaut Roskam in the rebound racing Chevrolet, and I believe that as I say, GT4s are now going to be the main sole focus of this qualifying session. Now they won't get many laps in, but it did feel like there were plenty coming in for the GT3s. It's about maximizing your lap time for these guys, and you now can already see 8.5 minutes left on the clock. My goodness, they're really going to have to try and get a lap in for this one.
Yes, most definitely. GT4s, like you say, will have less laps because obviously a GT4 goes slower through Silverstone. I reckon the lap time may be 20 seconds off. I could be completely wrong for all I know, but it was very tight in the GT3 field. P17 to P1, 1 second off. That's not a big difference for the whole field really, and especially I think it was almost 200ths of a second just splitting P1 and P2. Philip Breccia, P2, I keep forgetting, but Philip Breccia getting that pole position nonetheless. It's going to be tight race in GT3. Can it be even tighter in the GT4 qualifying session? We have Raphael Hull in his Porsche Cayman GT4. Behind him, it could be her. No, that's not. Could be maybe Arnak, maybe Jackson in the 99 Mercedes. He has a beautiful slipstream, that Mercedes from Raphael Hull. He will be delighted with that slipstream. Key factor here in qualifying, especially in a GT4, where you could use that slipstream to big benefit excuse me, this is Eric Arneke, the German driver in the other Mercedes car. Can the Mercedes GT4 get pole position like the Mercedes GT3? But look at the Ginetta on the straight, especially with the slipstream. He will bother Arneke, will he? No, he won't. He won't overtake the Mercedes driver in front. Will wait the Ginetta driver. He does. That's the 48 of Ted Ayres, a name I haven't seen yet. So a debutant perhaps in this new mini British GT season. But 6 minutes and 30 seconds remain in this qualifying session. Roughly 2 laps for the GT4 still.
Absolutely, I'll correct you on that one. Ted is not a debutant. In fact, he finished
Oh,
7th back at Donington. So, yeah, it must have been a quiet race there for Ted Ayres.
So sorry.
But yeah, going back to Ted Ayres, an interesting livery for Ted Ayres.
I know.
Number 48, Ginetta.
Oh,
we've had a car over. We've had a car.
What happened there?
Too much sausage curb. That was unbelievable. I was not expecting that, but just too much curb from one of our drivers ahead. It must have been the Belgium, I believe.
It was a Mustang. I think it was Martin Lorenk. I think it was Martin Lorenk in the 171 Mustang, because he's in pit lane now. We have a race replay coming up. What happened here? Martin Lorenk, did he go? He went almost no wheels, 2 wheels for certain. Yeah, just took too much curb and gets respot in. No, just all right. Over the grass, over the asphalt, gliding over the roof. Glide is a closed cockpit, this one, but strange for Martin Lorenk, something I've never seen, and I've seen a lot of things in Assetto Corsa Competizione, but that was quite remarkable.
I was going to say, I've seen my fair share of racing madness, but that is something I've not seen in either sim or real life. Just a massive bite of the sausage curve, and the sausage curve decided to bite back, unfortunately for Martin Lorenk, and he'll respawn back into the pits. Got 5 minutes remaining, but he'll surely be able to get a lap. It's Joe Dorber, in fact, on the current provisional pole position, the 777 in the Austrian manufactured KTM team, who will be lining up on pole position now. And then we got Enzo Plate, who will be lining up in the other Ginetta, and then Will Stevenson. So 2 Ginettas, the British manufactured Ginettas, are looking to be 2nd and 3rd. But it's actually no, Mike Redford has now gone into provisional pole position in his McLaren. So the McLaren Artura looking pretty strong there in the 95. So looks like now three British manufacturers in the top 4. Great stuff there for the Brits. Matt Malcolm, the Scottishman, really representing the Scottish flag there on top of his roof. I love that about our other British Isles, when they decide that they want to drive for either the Scottish flag or the Welsh flag. I love that. It brings a lot of character and variety, I think, to the grid.
But does Scotland love the UK the same way as we do the Scottish? I don't know any about the culture in the British lands, the British Empire, but I digress. Matt Malcolm, the Scotsman, trying to get a better lap time on the board, only 13 seconds off. I was completely off the chart with my predictions. The GT4 maybe 20 seconds off, only 12 seconds off on Silverstone, which I think is not too bad. Richard Phillips in the Aston Martin, driving in a British manufacturer on a British track, destined for glory, maybe, question mark. He will go over the line very soon. See what Richard Phillips can do in this qualifying session. Mike Redford still in pole position. He qualified 3rd last time. Richard Phillips goes to P33 overall. P, if my maths are correct, which they normally not are, P12 in the GT4 class for Richard Phillips so far. Mike Redford, P21 overall, P1 in his class, and with 2 minutes remaining, he is half a second up. Mike Redford over the line. He improves indeed, 11.5 seconds of the general GT3 leader, but the gap to Joey Darber is a staggering 0.6 of a second, nearly dead 0.6 of a second, not much in between. Joey Darber needs to come with an answer here, as does the rest of the field. Will Stevenson, P2 last race. Can Will Stevenson answer? We have to find out. We are going to find out, as Will Steven is still in the middle of his lap. He has a KTM right in front. Maybe that helps a bit with the straight line speed. I wonder how the Ginetta is in the straight line though.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the straight line speed differentiates between each manufacturer. So of course it looks like the Ginetta there, it'll be a front engine car. Let's see if we won't really be able to get a top speed read, but that will come down to when we start having a bit of a tussle in the races. There goes one of the Porsche Caymans moving aside. So it's going to be McLaren 95 from KTM 777 and Ginetta 71 with Porsche 21, and then we find that is Manso in the 222 BMW, and I believe that is the top 5. It is indeed. Really competitive times there. There is Spoda Skrillex, of course, in his second round of the Mini British GT Championship. The Austrian driver in the Austrian car will go over the line, improves, in fact, to 9th in the GT4 standing. So really solid stuff there from him. But these are going to be the final laps. Right at the back of the queue there, the 71 of Mo Plate, I believe it is, and he's going to be the last car of the line. No, I think he's going to be the 95 of Mike Redford instead. So these are the last laps for all of these drivers, and really got to push every single ounce that they can. It looks like Plates and Raphael Hull are already in the pit lane, so they won't be able to get a lap in here. But look at that gap between Redford and Joe Dorber. That is a massive 0.6 of a second.
Mahusiv, staggering, love the pronunciations, but the gap is big. This is very clear. Aaron Jackson, can he make that gap smaller? The gap to P2 isn't far away. It's only 0.3 for Aaron Jackson. He still has quite a bit to go, but everyone from now won't be able to set another lap time after they've completed this one. So it's, I'm sorry for my language, balls to the walls for every GT4 driver now, because, and I hope we don't get monetized because of it, because this is their last chance, and Aaron Jackson will be the first over the line with that last chance. Track temperature is still 26 degrees. The track is worked. There is optimum grip at this stage of qualifying, but who will get the optimum lap in qualifying? Can it be Aaron Jackson in the 99 Mercedes? Mercedes in GT4 not doing so well compared to their other bigger GT3 brothers, and Aaron Jackson coming through the last corner now, completing almost a 5.9 kilometer track. They is called Silverstone. Aaron Jackson over the line, 12.4 seconds. He is currently behind. Will he improve? P28 overall it will be for Aaron Jackson. He won't improve for position, but who will improve? German Eric Arnecke goes to P31. We have Ginetta over the line. Stevenson, we have Mo Plate, the Dutchman in the 71 Ginetta. Martin Foster coming over the line. He doesn't improve. Martin Lorenk in the fourth, winner of last time. P23, he stays. Nobody can touch Mike Redford. Mike Redford is untouchable. Pole position by a mile.
And that is going to be a superb end to this qualifying session. And my goodness me, this has been an absolute stunner of a session. So many interesting laps, so many interesting lines taken, and a dramatic qualifying session for sure.
Definitely, as we had to the GT3 qualifying end results, Catalan, the Spaniard, having one purple sector, Fila Breccia having not one purple sector in his lap, but it was consistent enough for pole position. Very remarkable. remarkable, but it will prove to be a close race as the field is very close. We have Philip Breccia in P1. This is the GT4, Mike Redford, Joey Darby, Martin Lorenk, Emo Plate, Hull, Manso, Stevenson in P7, Aaron Jackson in P8, Matt Malcolm in P9, Spoda Skrillex in P10, Arneke 11, Roscom 12, Phillips in P13, Ayers in P14, Foster in P15, and Hoseman in P16. Rounds off the GT4 grid. As we go to the general standings in a bit, we will first have the standings of the GT3 Pro category, led by Philip Breccia, who won last race. Diego Catalan, it was in P2. Marco Badowski took home P3. Marcus Honsel, the German driver, in P4 with 21 points to his name. John Dalton in P5 with 18 points behind his name, followed by Nico Kumpu, Tom Shipson in P7, Sontag in P8, and then it's another German after another German. Niels Engelhardt and Jake Howling rounds off the top 10.
Absolutely, we are very much.
But, well, I'll finish the GT3, it's fine. 5 points behind his name, Lily Armstrong, P11, Jordan Daly in P12, Andy Portman, also British, in P13. 3 points behind his name, Carlos Calatiut in P14, followed by Nicole Fox, Conrad Jensen, Portuguese Bruna Teixeira with 0 points behind his name, Nicholas Keller, Jean-Sebastian Luke Crofts, also 0 points behind his name. Who has more 0 points? Giannis Tsaknis, the Greece, I'm never pronouncing that ever again, also has 0 points.
Onto the GT4s we go, and it's Martin Lorenk in the number 171 Chevrolet Camaro GT4. He'll on 36 points. He will be followed by Will Stevenson in the Ginetta G55 108. Number 95, Mike Redford, who's now on pole position. He's got a great possibility to go and take another step to him. Now, Joey Dorba in the number 777 KTM will be in 5th, followed by Joe Manso, the 222 BMW. Then comes Thibaut Roscan in the number 96 Chevrolet Camaro. Ted Ers in number 48 Ginetta G55 GT4 with Richard Phillips, Raphael Hull, and Aaron Jackson in the Aston Martin, Porsche, and Mercedes, respectively. Top 10 on that one. So we've got a bit of a server restart, but we'll continue down here. Furkan Hosman in the Porsche 718 Cayman in the 228. Then we find Noah Ackerman in the number 23, Mercedes AMG GT4 with Spoda Skrillex, the 2000 KTM, who was just out on track, we saw. And then it's the two Mercedes of Joel Kelly in the number 91 with Eric Ardenek in the number 49, where we find Martin Foster, another Brit, in the GT4 category in his McLaren 570S, number 44. How many well-known 44s do we have? British 44, so we know. Oscar Gurrea in the Spaniard in the number 19 KTM. And another driver was at 0 points, 5 of them in fact it was 0. Matt Malcolm, the Scotsman, with that beautiful Scottish flag on the top of his roof. He's in the Mercedes 199. And then Lillian Sinclair in the Mercedes 93 with MO plate, and the number 71 Ginetta G55, the Dutchman, joining us for the second round of the Ginetta of the Mini British GT Championship. Of course, it's the big one on our Mini British GT calendar. Of course, in real life, known for its 3-hour endurance race, and of course has seen plenty of action all throughout its history. Started up in 2012. That was the first time we ever had a 3-hour race at Silverstone on the British GT calendar, and it's carried over ever since, being quite the staple for the British GT Canada. But of course, we moved just over 60 miles south from Donington Park to the Silverstone circuit. The former airfield, of course, has now been created into this spectacular racing circuit, which accommodates the likes of the British Touring Car Championship. Of course, the shorter layout, but of course, well known, the MotoGP and the Formula One British Grand Prix, respectively. So much action, so much history, all since 1948. 8.
Speaking, we also have split two standings. I hear from a lovely broadcaster as Bibi, which I think, roll to now. These are the split two standings, led by Les Stevenson. The Britishman in his McLaren 720 GT3 leads, together with Andrew Riff by 34 points. Sam Lloyd gets P3 in the standings so far with 25 points behind his name. Peter Ljungqvist in P4, the Swedish driver. The Spanish driver by name Fallon Joxne is in P5 again with 18 points. It's Bartes in P6, Tom Watts in P7, Richard Whithall in P8, and both Dutchies Nicolas Galoa in P9 and Ibiza Racer in P5 so far. And he rounds off the top 10 as well. See if we have more GT3 participants or if that is it. Now, we do have more GT3 participants. We have Gretzky Speed in with 0 points in P11. Matthew Henry in P12 with 0 points. And the rest we've had a dash behind his name has signed out of the championship.
So we'll see what GT4 looks like. It's Callum Kerrigan in his Aston Martin Vantage GT4. 93 points, a 10-point advantage over Peter Varga, number 508 BMW. We'll see how he does later on in his race. Rudy Filmatter in the Ginetta, the South African, looking to have a really good run of results. Then we find Daniel Crinzen and Benjamin Elney, the Alpine A110 being used as well in this one for Daniel Crinzen. I wonder how that's going. Really pretty well, and he isn't the only one being used, which we'll find later on. Philip Rina in the number 717 at Mercedes AMG GT4 there, sitting on 15 points, 2 points behind Endwald Hinek in the Mercedes, in the BMW M4 in 7th place. Testa thirdly in the other Alpine A110, 11 points for their progress. Then we find the Singaporean Damien Lowe in the KTM Expo in GT4, the number 97 in 9th, with Hugo Duby, another user of the Alpine A110, 0 points for the number 72 on that one. And then we find our 0 points a couple of drivers here. Kevin Boss in the Aston Martin, followed by James Purchase, who has also got who's also in the Aston Martin. Alex Davey, the South Korean, in 13, followed by Bernardo Teixeira in the Alpine, with Reese Wilkinson in the Netta, Dave Beckett in the Aston Martin, and the Gamer Extreme in the number 17 in Mercedes, who will be the 17th and final car in the GT4 Silver. But of course, that will round out our of tier 2. Hopefully we'll be waiting and limbering up for the race on this one, because of course we do have problems with pit stops, so everyone has been sent back to the lobby, and everyone will continue to try and get this fixed in the meantime. But overall, I think we're in for a really exciting hour and a half. Of course, they also have to manage the grid as well, so they have to look back at our stream and then try and fix it out from there, put everyone in the right grid slot to avoid any form of confusion as well, which I'm sure will be frustrating drivers, but it must be a little bit frustrating. I don't know if you have been in this position, Dan, where you're in a competitive league, you're raring to race, and then you get kind of a red flag even before you've set off. It must be so frustrating for the driver, letting that adrenaline from qualifying die down. Do you get a little bit of a chance here to be able to reset on what they've done, rethink their mistakes, of course, go over any last minute changes or things they want to adjust on their setups, or if that's any form of strategy, if they think they've missed anything? This is the kind of time to go over everything.
Luckily, I never have, but I wish I would have had, because you've just demonstrated your point beautifully. Whenever you just finish the qualifying session, obviously, yes, you do want to race. But for me, personally, whenever I finish a qualifying session, whether I've done well or not, there's always some pressure about, there's always some mystery about the start. There will always be mystery about the start. But when the start is delayed, you can step back for a moment and have a little bit of a thought process of how you are going to start of the race, how you are going to approach the first corner, how you are going to approach the first lap. And it's really key that that you can step back, and some drivers can do this better than others. Some drivers really react in a moment. Some drivers try to predict what's going to happen and react based off that. If this happens, I'll go to the outside of turn 1. If this happens, I'll go to the inside of turn 1. Am I going to be aggressive? Am I going to be passive? Because let's face it, P2 needs to be or P1, because he starts on pole position most of the time, needs to look into his mirrors, while P2 thinks, I just qualified P2, but I wanted P1 so badly, I'm going to be aggressive. And you have all these little mindsets, specific mindsets, different mindsets throughout the field, which are all unique to each other. And this is what causes some confusion, sometimes some crashes, who knows. It's the beautiful part of racing. And you can take all of this into account. When the race starts and when the lights go green, it's entirely up to you upon the driver, and there's no really thinking anymore. There is just reacting as soon as you can to every possible scenario. And that's the beauty of racing. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if you're going to get the delayed start like we have now. But that really is the beauty of racing. Like you demonstrated perfectly, you also talked, Adam, about the real British GT being 3 hours long, at least on Silverstone. If you're new to this series, and we are a little bit, because it's only the second round, we have a little bit of a experiment in race formats. Last time around we had only an hour race. This time we have a 1 hour and 30 minute race, and next round I believe we have a 2 times 30 minutes race. Yes, I am almost pushing my mic off there. We have indeed a 2 times 30 minutes on Alton Park, which is fantastic. And because of those 2 times 30 minutes, as a driver, you can be a little bit more aggressive. And normally it's an endurance series. And what is the only alternative to a British GT? It's mini British GT, which we are doing exactly here on RCI. But we are almost going to start the race. Finally, Adam, we can almost see the green lights go out.
We are absolutely getting toward that part of the, well, as I said, we're getting very close to that part of the moment where we will be able to go green, and they'll just do that free practice session, and then they'll head into the race. But these guys are now kind of get back into the zone. They need to really start to think of how to approach that first corner. Of course, it's going to be the run down towards Copse Corner, which is a pretty quick corner. Even in a GT3/GT4 car, you still have carrying a ton of speed in towards an area where you're going to be absolutely swarmed by a pack of bees. 20 GT3 cars, 16 GT4 cars. It could get very, very chaotic very, very quickly. And even though it is the widest circuit we're probably going to be using in the mini British GT calendar, apart from maybe even Spa-Francorchamps is alongside, because they're the only 2 Grade 1 circuits that we have on the mini British GT calendar. Everyone's going to be, you may think, oh, there's going to be a lot of space for 2 cars, 3 cars. No. Every single driver is going to be using every ounce of racing surface, no matter if it's a curb, if it's a part of the circuit, if it's slightly off the circuit. even if there's a gravel trap coming in their direction, they're going to be using absolutely every piece of the circuit they possibly can without without trying to enforce a penalty on them. So it is for sure going to be an absolute cluster down towards the first sector for sure. So it's very much one to keep an eye out for down into the run towards Stowe Corner. But there you can see everyone now lining up on the grid for our race here at Silverstone. I'm very much looking forward to it.
We'll do a little bit of a grid walk. Philip Breccia is again your man on pole position. Like last time, it's Engelhardt in the Porsche on your right hand side, which has slotted into P2, Catalan in P3, the Spaniard, followed by the only McLaren in the top 4, Nico Kumpu, followed by the second Mercedes in the top 5, Carlos Calatayud, the Spaniard. It's Marco Badowski then. In the Porsche, Casinenga, the Frenchman, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, in P7. John Dalton, see if he can race alone in the John Dalton zone in P8. For the ones who don't know what a John Dalton zone is, it's basically racing in no man's land. And we've named that after our beautiful John Dalton. Sontag in P9. It's Andy Portman in the lone Ferrari in P10. Tom Shipston in the only Lexus. Quite a unique choice, the Lexus, but there he is. Nico Keller, the Frenchman, in P12. It's Honzel in P13, followed by Nicole Fox in P14. It's Armstrong in P15 in his Porsche, and Jordan Daly in the only GT3 Aston Martin on the grid in P16. Bernardo Teixeira, the feisty Portuguese, in P17, and it's Howling in P18 and Cross in P19. For the ones that don't know, we have 3 minutes, so you still have some time. If you've never seen our Twitch channel, we do have a Twitch channel. If you've never seen a YouTube channel, we do have a YouTube channel as well. I'm also keeping my eyes on the YouTube channel this time instead of last time. I didn't, but I will keep an eye out on chat here today. But if you haven't followed any of those, please go and do so. You'd help ourselves and RCI out a great deal. But further down the grid, this is the 108 Ginetta of... Can I see who that is? No, I completely forgot because the standing list only goes to P23 overall. But we have some beautiful livery, some beautiful cars. We have some Aston Martins, Mercedes, Chevrolet Camaro in GT4. Hell, we even have Ginettas and KTMs. It's a beautiful grid, and we're almost about to start, and we finish off the grid with a beautiful Porsche Cayman.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting towards that final moment before our green flag. There you can see right at the back, the 228. This is a moment where, as a real life commentator, I would love to do a grid walk. Just quickly fly down the grid, see who the best people are to talk to, think about their positioning, think about their run towards turn number 1, and of course they've got a whole hour and a half ahead of them. There's still plenty of time to have so much action. I believe we just saw did we just see an Audi there? I think my mind might be playing tricks on me because I don't. We do actually. Luke Croft's in there in the 19th there, the 225. That's the first time we've seen the Audi in the mini British GT series, and what's so kind of great about that is, of course, beautiful V10 engine, which absolutely blasts your ears out every single time it exits the pit lane. Trust me, I was near one back in May when the Fanatec GT World Challenge series came to Brands Hatch, and those Audis were absolutely stunning. So for sure, they're going to be super interesting to see how they handle around this wonderful British circuit, just close to Northampton and Mill, right in the Midlands. But yeah, I think that especially with everything that's going on with Audi at the minute, their depletion of GT3 cars to prepare themselves for the heights of Formula One, No, we're not going to be seeing that car too often for the in the next couple of years. That's a very bouncy Diego Castellan, I believe it is, and having a bit of a hop around there in P3. I think he's very excited to get going. Don't you think? Don't you think, Dan?
I think everyone is. Flanders tells us in the YouTube channel, I was prepared to root for the Lambos, but there are no Lambos. No, this is a very good point. There are no Lambos. I now begin to think, which manufacturers are we missing as well? I can't quite get my finger on it, but we have a lot of manufacturers nonetheless. We have again KTM's, like I said last time, which are doing well again. Adam, I told you last time around in Donington, we were talking about how sort of original the KTM and the Ginettas were in the GT4 category, but they always seem to do well. At least the KTM is. I don't know where the nearest Ginetta is. I forgot. But I'm not surprised if it's within the top 5. But I love the array of manufacturers. Like I said, plenty of times. 1 hour and 30 minutes. We will race here on Silverstone, which means not only a lot of time to make gains for those who haven't gotten, didn't have a great qualifying, but also a lot of time for maybe Philip Breccia to get a dominant gap once again. Watch out for Martin Lorenk in the GT4, who came back from, I think it was around P8 last time, and eventually won the race dominantly in the GT4 category. And again, 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think the only 1 hour and no, that's not true. Spa is also 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it's going to be a tough 1 hour and 30 minutes. Can we call this an endurance race, Adam? 1 hour and 30 minutes?
Of course we can. I believe that we can call a 1 hour 30-minute race a bit of an endurance race. Usually 1 hours are called sprints. You know, it's right in the middle between sprint and endurance. So I don't know if we want to kind of special mark that with maybe mini endurance, or with a special tag to it. But overall, I think that there's going to be some really interesting things. And also to satisfy your needs, Dan, I'll let you know we're missing the Benzene Continental GT3 from 2018.
Oh wow, the man with the stats.
We are missing the Honda NSX Evo from 2019, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2 from 2023, and the Nissan GT-R Nismo from 2018. I believe we're also missing no, we're not missing the Lexus, because we do have one of our drivers there in the Lexus, that being Tom Shipton. So using one of the oldest chassis, in fact, is Shipton as well. So I'll be interested to see how he goes. But yeah, it's good to see not any Lamborghini Huracans, especially in a British GT series, because they are very well known to be used by the Barwell Motorsport team, which in fact won the title last year, the end of 2024, with in fact former touring car drivers Rob and Ricky Collard. So the father-son duo winning it last time, winning the whole championship in the GT3 category last time around. A great little stat for you there. But we're now heading down the Hangar Straight, and sorry, no, it's the Wellington Straight. My apologies. And some of my Silverstone facts wrong in that one, but we're about to head to green, and you see the flashing lights there, and I believe we're under some dynamic weather. It's looking very cloudy here, it looks like, for the first couple of minutes, but we've got round Luffield to go, and then on towards the slight right kink of Woodcote. We'll find ourselves blasting down towards that green flag.
Philip Breccia will lead the field towards turn 1, towards those green lights, but those green lights are still red yet. 12:08 p.m. virtual time. Track temperature is 24 degrees. How will this field stack up in Silverstone? We are about to find out. Philip Breccia in P1, Engelhardt in P2. Who has the best start? When will the green lights fall? Well, when will the flag fall? And that answer is now. And Philip Breccia cuts off the Porsche of Engelhardt, and all those Porsches just forming in a train there. We have the Porsche and the Mercedes of Carlos Carlazzi go side by side, perhaps into Maggots and Baggots, but Philip Breccia is leading so far. I think I see John Dal and the Spaniard remaining in P6 with a Ferrari of Andy Boardman trying to overtake a BMW here. Carlos Carlazzi still focusing on what's happening in the GT4s then. Is Mike Redford, has he been able to retain the lead? No, that's actually Delta. Mike Redford is still leading Joey Darber in P2 then for the GT4. See if Mike Redford can slam a gap here between Joe. Oh, we have an incident at the back of the field there. A Porsche involved. Is it a McLaren involved as well? We have a Porsche slower. This is a race replay. Luke Crofts there. Is that the Porsche? We have an Audi, a Porsche side by side going into, I think, what is going to be now turn 5. And it's a bit of a big replay, so we won't see the end of that one. This is Luke Crofts here. The Porsche colliding with a BMW. Just an unfortunate tap between the both of two, Adam.
Big slam there for the BMW as well. It looks like we've got something else here down in towards the Velen Club chicane. The BMW down the inside. Look at the cluster of cars there. Oh, this very, very close here. And it looks like a few bumps and biffs there. And here's Marcus Honzel in at P12. They carried their way through Andy Boardman, the Briton. At his home ground, well, actually I don't know if it's his home local circuit, of course. I might need to find that out for this one. But yeah, one of the very few Brits on the field in the GT3, and we're now seeing Richard Phillips, in fact, in his Aston Martin. He's looking at a move there with Spuda Skrillex. They're looking at 8th place here for the GT4s. They carry their way through Woodcote and on towards start finish rate, and that is the end of lap 1. Plenty more to go here, Dan.
Plenty more to go. As you said, we talked about strategies and mentalities before the race started, and you can see now who's aggressive, who's a bit passive. Richard Phillips in his mirror sees a Spuda Skrillex. It's a Ginetta going off completely straight during Maggots and Baggots. What's happened there? This is a race replay of that Ginetta. Jake Howling, as he collided with he must have, yes, Jake Howling. Ginetta maybe turning in. That's one for the stewards to decide, because we do have live stewarding here today. But Jake Howling in the purple Porsche, needing to get past those GT4s and needing to do it cleanly. Now Jake Howling on the brakes to pass Joe's GT4s, and it's just about, not just about, it's not going to be easy for Jake Howling to past those GT4s all in the braking zone, but luckily that Porsche has a straight line speed advantage, has a reasonable grip downforce advantage, is now passing Joey Darby, is going to be passing Mike Redford. Will he hold up Mike Redford going into that very tight right-hander? Jake Howling choosing the outside line, but I'm interested in what's happening in front of the pack. We still have Philip Breccia leading in the 25. I suggest in P1 this is Marco Badowski with the fastest lap, and yes, Philip Breccia is still leading. Nico Kumpu has had a great start, I think, in his McLaren in his P4, or did he start P4? I'm a bit confused, but I think he started P4 indeed. Carlos Carlazzi still in P6, so nothing really changing here in the top 5 in the GT3. We have Tom Shipston in the Lexus in P10. I'm sure he made some gains. Andy Portman has fallen a bit back in P30 now, was P10 at the race start, somewhere at the race start, but those GT3s are still in a little bit of a train, but they're still very close together. Track temperature is falling down 24 degrees now, so that will only improve grip. Marcus Honzel in the BMW trying to overtake the McLaren, and it looks like he will overtake the McLaren down the inside in that chicane. Does he have him already brakes needs to leave each other room, and they do. Marcus Honsel does get that position. Andy Boardman can make some advantage of that slow McLaren as well, and he does. Andy Boardman up into P12.
Good stuff there from Andy Boardman. He needs to try and maybe slice his way through, because you can see there's some gaps starting to form amongst this part of the field. The likes of Shipton to Keller, that is now over a second. You see there Bruno Teixeira, his gap to Lily Armstrong there is again 1.2, so gaps needing to be chased up here. And if Andy Boardman is going to be stuck behind Shipton, we've now got a replay, I believe, an instant. It seemed like Marcus Honsel in the BMW, then up behind the 27, looking like it's going to go around the outside. They're going to be a bit of a tap in here. Yeah, it was a bit of a tap on that one. So not much contact on that one. It was just Marcus Honsel trying to send it around the outside. Meanwhile, Jordan Daly is trying to hold his position here on a Porsche, but we're now going to be potentially 3 wide. No, and we now see Keller is going to be under attack here. The Aston Martin trying a differentiating line here. He's going to look on the right-hand side of that McLaren in towards Magenta Beckett. Surely not. Surely not. Who's going to back off first on this one? And through goes the Aston Martin. That is a good move on that one. Brilliant stuff from Jordan Daly. Yes, it may not be for a higher position, but it is still a superb move, and it left Keller with very little room there, and then having to back out is the McLaren. Just great position, great racing on that one.
Jordan Daly known for his aggressive moves, and this time, oh, there's a McLaren going wide there. The Nico Keller just behind those two. He's getting attacked by Bernardo Teixeira. He's getting overtaken by Bernardo Teixeira. The Portuguese, Bruno Teixeira, I'm so sorry. But the Portuguese, he overtook that position from Keller. The Frenchman was P15, now P16. Nicole Fox is grabbing her popcorn and seeing if she can overtake maybe these two guys ahead if an incident happens ahead. But to be fair, apart from this move by Jordan Daly, I haven't seen a lot of GT3 overtaking. Maybe some more GT4s will overtake. This is the actual GT4. Look how close those GT4s are. Spoda Skrillex, this is all the way down in P12, P13 Spoda Skrillex is, but this is a train in the GT4. There's a KTM here, a Ginetta here, Mercedes of Matt Malcolm, the Scotsman, right behind the rear of that KTM. Always lovely to see those GT4s again going through Abbey now. And this is Spoda Skrillex still, and we almost have finished the first 10 minutes of the session. I say almost. Matt Malcolm maybe looking for down the inside there. He certainly gives it a look, but it's not enough on the brakes. It looked convincing from that angle, but he was quite a far way off. Matt Malcolm was, but Spoda Skrillex also not getting intimidated by the Scotsman. Very important to stay do not succumb to the pressure the Scotsman could put on Spoda Skrillex. But track temperature now again going up a little bit. Oh, there's that's sideways. It's a Porsche of Hosman all the way at the back of the field. Fucking Hosman, the Turkish driver, almost losing that Porsche. Not quite though.
Yeah, you managed to keep that really well. I think it was Hosman. Really looking to see if we can maximize that exit, but he's still sitting in the back of the pack here in 15th place, I believe, for the GT4s. If you notice there on the left-hand side, there is a little 2 behind a orange background. That means there are 2 mandatory stops to be made in this race compared to the usual one where you'll see in the 1-hour race. So we'll have to really keep an eye on how they go about things. Oh, who's that coming across the grass? That seems to be one of the BMWs. That was not going to be Honsel. Is that going to be a back marker? We'll get a replay on this one. This is Bruno Teixeira on Nico it, forcing out the 27. I don't think he's going to be very happy about that one. The McLaren keeping the inside line there, but yeah, a little bit of battle. Bruno Teixeira. In fact, we return to Bruno Teixeira now sideways, and looks like he's just gone loose there. I think he just took a bit of grass on that left-hand side and spins it round again. So not quite up to grips there in Bruno Teixeira, the Portuguese driver. Unfortunately, going for 2 spins here. Is he gone again? No, she's coming out in towards the right-hander. So unfortunately there for the 11 of Bruno Teixeira. He now falls right down the field here with Jake Howling, I think, in behind as well, who also got caught up in earlier contention. Meanwhile, we haven't spoke about this group a lot. It's Philip Brescia from Niels Engelhard, Diego Catalan in behind, the pace setter in the practice session, with Nico Kumpu with the fastest lap. The driver in the McLaren trying to fly the Union Jack high for the British manufacturers. This is starting to get a bit close here for our GT3 pack. It's now going to be starting to go to a game of chess here.
Game of chess, beautifully worded indeed, but seems like these guys are working together here. Engelhard not seeming to pose a threat for Philip Brescia. Same counts for Catalan. Philip Brescia wanting to go on the defensive a little bit. You can see Nicolas Engelhard maybe shifting now towards a bit of an aggressive tone towards Philip Brescia. Look behind is the man with the fastest lap so far, Nico Kumpu in the McLaren. Watch out for him because he is still there too as well. Catalan hoping something between these two happens now. Niels Engelhard around the outside. Surely he won't make that stick towards Laffield, and Philip Brescia covers the inside off as well. But these guys are trying to Niels Engelhard in any case is trying to find a little bit of a gap. Obviously you want to take the lead because Engelhard also as well, his tires will overheat because he's in the dirty air. Same counts for Catalan. Catalan even more so because he is 2 cars ahead of him. So your tires are maybe slightly overheating, which means your tires are wearing out faster than the 2 ahead of you as well. So that's quite an interesting factor. Catalan will probably want to get a move on because of the dirty air, because of the tire usage, and the same counts for Engelhard. So this is Nicole Fox. Did she just try to pull a move in Beckett's and Beckett's? It seems like so because she has compromised her exit outside of Beckett's into Chapel Curve, and this is Nicole Fox still in the slipstream of Keller in the 27 Ferrari. No, that's McLaren. But still, Nicole Fox compromising her exit there a little bit. Oh, that's a bit too much grass going into Stowe. I'm sorry, I'm choking myself to death. Adam, take over.
I did this lot. In fact, you copied what I'm doing last.
Yes.
Anyway, John Dalton, P8 for the Brits, and he's running at a really good pace for now. He did a 58.9 last time around in the 8.99. Apparently, I'm being told in my ears it's a very good boo. I'm not going to comment any further on that one. He looks to try and maybe take a look at this little tussle between John Sebastian Casanega and Catalud with the Porsche and the Mercedes up ahead, just having a bit of a tussle here, starting to lose a little bit of ground, I think, to maybe the likes of Martin Podolski and Nico Kumpu. They're going to be focusing potentially on themselves because it looks like Catalud will be looking to try and get that 30 Mercedes all up in the rear view mirror of the Frenchman in the 911 Porsche, turning their way in towards Copse Corner, and John Dalton were very much going to be pushing his way forward. But he's also bringing in here Tobias Sontag in his BMW. So the 2 BMWs are trying to pair up here, I'd say, trying to push themselves forward. I want to be a better manufacturer. That's going to be the Frenchman there off the road, the Porsche, and that's going to allow Catalu to try and go through here, and the Mercedes fits himself on that inside line. Later on the brace, can he fit it on the inside line? He's not really obliged to
contact.
He's not really. There was contact in that way. He's not obliged to let him through, but there you go. Through goes to Mercedes, and John Sebastian Casagena is now going to be under pressure here from both BMWs. And I think John Dalton saw that move off the track there, and I think he's going to be very much fired up here with Tobias Sontag waiting in the wings to try and take another position. So it could be all sorts of disaster, but look at that. Almost there from Sontag. Sontag tried to go on his manufacturer teammate, and that could have ended in an absolute disaster, but luckily Sontag knows how to race. He's very clean with it, and already this battle started to very much heat up in the background. Through the loop they go, and on toward that long straight. Let's see who's got the grunt down the Hanger Straight, the second longest straight on the circuit.
John Dalton not getting intimidated by the pressure of Sontag, and this maybe will benefit him for maybe perhaps putting pressure on the Porsche just ahead of him, but everyone's really putting pressure on the driver ahead of the Mercedes in P6. Carlos Calatius, he has his mirrors filled of a BMW, of two BMWs in fact, one Porsche, but the Spaniard struggling a little bit, but maybe he can find his rhythm yet again. Fact remains, this group is very close, but for how long will this group be close? This is Diego Catalan. The other group, the top group in this race, Nico Kumpu behind him, still have the fastest lap. And if Diego Catalan can get a good run on his Porsche teammate, then maybe he can go for a move. So it would be late, it would be brave, but I think the Spaniard is going to just set back for a little bit, same as Nico Kumpu. No one can really find a gap unless someone makes a mistake like Engelhardt. The switchback there for Diego Catalan, into the chicane they go, but Engelhardt is later on the brakes. Touching the Sashes curb there a little bit, Diego Catalan, but he's fine so far. Nico Kumpu, can he improve a position after that cent or half cent it was for Catalan, the Spaniard? But it doesn't seem so. So Engelhardt making a little bit of a mistake, but he has gotten away with it so far. The first penalties are dropping in so far. Nicole Fox getting a 5-second penalty behind her name. She will serve that probably in the pit lane when the first pit stops will be made. Again, we have 2 mandatory pit stops. This is a battle for the GT4. There's a Mercedes going very slow there. What's happened there is that must be the 49 of Arnek. Arnek going really slow. Is it just blue flags? I see blue flags being waved. Martin Foster also have a 5-second penalty now. So I'm not sure what is up with that. No, Arnek isn't in fact a back marker. He was just going very slow. Wonder what happened to the German in currently P29 overall. He has a Chevrolet Camaro named Fibo Roskam behind him, and see if Fibo Roskam can put pressure on the German driver Martin Lorenk. Currently P21, he's doing the same as he did last time. He didn't have a great quali, but he's having a great race all the way up to P2 after a disappointing qualifying. 5/10 behind Mike Redford, and Mike Redford looked untouchable in qualifying. Turns out he isn't.
Oh, that's going to be highly interesting. Oh, that's Diego Catalan now going on Niels Engelhardt. Nico Kumpu wanting an opportunity here. He's going to put that car on the outside line here in toward the Vale and Club chicane. Diego Catalan getting that move ticked off, but through goes Nico Kumpu, and that's a brilliant move there from McLaren. This is now Marco Podolski, so completely forgetting Marco Podolski was involved in this one. And now we're seeing 3 wide in towards Abbey Corner. Big move by Kumpu. Contact. Someone's gone off wide there, one of our GT4s, and we're now seeing the Mercedes there getting involved, and they head their way down into the left-hander. I think that's Podolski still in there. No. There's contact between the two of them, and now that's going to be Engelhardt. And there's still a contact, and now round goes. That's going going to be the Badowski. Badowski, and look at that, the Mercedes in the background of Katayud. And there was absolute mayhem with the GT4s. We didn't think it would happen this early in the race. Already, it has kicked right off here in the early stages with 20 minutes in. No pit stops have been completed for our top drivers, and there's more contact at the back, it seemed like. It was a Kalatiou, the Mercedes, who's been absolutely decimated, unfortunately, there. Down the field it goes, and a race replay on this one. That's Andy Boardman. I think just turned under braking there in towards Andy Boardman. Didn't see the Ferrari, and kind of met his own demise there. Carlos Kalatiou. I don't want to point any fingers, but you know, you kind of got to look where you're braking at that rate and see if there's anyone around you.
Carlos Kalatiou is not getting the benefit of all the chaos there. Lots of chaos, and I'm sure the stewards will drive overtime this race as the first GT4s, as the first GT3s came in to lap. The first GT4 drama absolutely commenced for the top, from all the way down to top 6, because nothing really, well, some stuff happens, but nothing major happened for the top 5. Yes, Engelhardt fell back, but Marco, all the way from there, it's the same order. So the top GT3 spots are still occupied by roughly the same GT3 drivers. Andy Boardman, he's improved a little bit because of that chaos. Tom Shipton in the Lexus driving in P7 now. Honzo in P6, so the field has been shuffled a bit. But what drama, what action did we see? And we will see more action. This is Carlos Kalatiou making his way through the field yet again. And it's going to be interesting how everything else will be going, especially with the lapped cars. We have some stewarding, we have some penalties. We have a 5-second penalty for car 44, and we have a 5-second penalty for car 340. Nothing new so far, but we've seen a lot of chaos in the first stages of the lapping part here, like we sometimes see in the real British GT. But like I say,
oh my god,
that's more chaos for a GT4 and a GT3. There was the GT3 of Keller absolutely bumping a Mercedes out of the way, and I think the Mercedes of the German driver, I can't really get to his name now, but that was Nick Keller absolutely punting a GT4 out of the way there. This is Audi. Audi of Crofts is improving massively throughout this race. John Dalton in P16 hasn't improved at all, was a victim of the chaos as well. So much happened. This is definitely going to be one for the highlights for you. Carlos Kalatiou touching an Aston Martin GT4 there, keeping the Aston Martin relatively alive. Nicholas Keller needing to wait a little bit, needing to be big patience here, needing to show big patience here to overtake that GT4. And Carlos Kalatiou can run away a bit, but stewards again will be driving overtime. And there's the Audi Crofts again making huge gains here in this field. Luke Crofts currently in the single Audi in the field here. That green Audi, very noticeable, the 225, and he might even put pressure on the Frenchman Nicolas Keller. Keller currently in P11, so this is for the points, I think. Luke Crofts in his Audi, not able to put big pressure on yet. Philip Breccia anyway is still leading. Nico Kumpu, it is in P3. It's Catalan in P3. Marco Badowski in P4. Engelhardt in P5. And the Boardman has just improved the position to P7. And Honzo in P6. So much happened and so much will still happen in this race. Lovely to see.
It is absolutely brilliant to see there. Andy Boardman now sweeping through there. He's got Tom Shipton on there on the left-hand side. Oh, a little bit of a wheel spin there from Andy Boardman, but managing to keep it there right in front of the Lexus. They'll power their way now down through Woodcote they go. He's now going to be starting to focus here on the Honzel there. But look at the straight line speed here of the Lexus. But he's going to back off there because he does not want to be making the collision there through the right-hander of Cots. He was gaining at a rate of knots with the front wheel of the front engine car. I don't know if Andy Boardman is struggling at all, or if it's just Tom Shipton scope just being genuinely fast. But look at the Lexus and how it's just taking all of that around him. You can see there more traffic as well. Felipe Brescia has now extended his gap there from 0.8 of a second at one stage to Diego Catalan to now 1.1. As Niels Engelhardt now looks around the outside, he's looking to try and find a move here on Martin Podolski. They're side by side, the Porsches. Once again, they're now going to have to stick on their line. Podolski having to go defensive here. That's going to be around the outside for Niels Engelhardt. Engelhardt with the inside line, and through goes Engelhardt. A superb move there from the German driver. It's Porsche on Porsche action. Porsche of the 992 goes ahead, and that is one for the highlight reel here of Niels Engelhardt. Brilliant move there. He'll move back up into 4th place and try and chase down Nico Kumpu in his McLaren. However, there is about a 5.5 second gap there now between the two. I'm sure we'll get a refresh on this one once we find that the sector time 6.4. That gap is extended drastically. So I also assume that we're about to see the first round of mandatory stops as well, because John Dalton has made one, Lily Armstrong has made one, and Jordan Daly have made one. So the top 12 yet to come into the pits there. They'll be doing it in about half an hour stint. So down to the hour mark and then down to the half an hour mark and then sprint. That's the way I can see strategy going at this moment in time.
911 Porsche also making a pit stop. Nicole Fox also she made her first pit stop, and Teixeira also, Bruno Teixeira, making his pit stop, his first pit stop. Again, 2 mandatory pit stop, like you can see down on the left of your screen. You have the orange, you have either an orange 2 or an orange 1 behind your name, and in some time we will see those orange 1s and 2 clear up for green, but I am talking 30 minutes ahead. Jordan Daly currently in P16. He's doing great so far. For the ones that pit stopped avoid, I think he did avoid all the chaos we had before all the GT4 lapping comments. We have is that Mike Redford currently? It is indeed. This is Redford, and Redford has made his pit stop that he must have had, because I don't see his name in... No, I do not see his name in the leading GT4s. So Mike Redford also making a pit stop. There he is. He has made his first pit stop. Leaders of everyone who has made their first pit stop in the GT4 category. And we're coming up on the hour mark. Please no Pantorino. I see a sticker on the back, the Mike Redford, that says please no Pantorino. Well, he's going to need it, because those GT3s seem to be pretty aggressive here on Silverstone today. Erik Adeneke got spun around by Keller, if I'm not mistaken, but he's chasing Thibaut Roskam in the Ford... No, that's not a Ford Mustang, that's the other American manufacturer. Good morning. Chevrolet Camaro, driven by Thibaut Roskam. They look so similar. They're obviously big American muscle cars, or variants of those big muscle cars, but that is a wow, I have a complete brain error. It's obviously a Chevrolet. Again, I'm just going to stop with pronouncing manufacturer's name. Let's start with that. Jean Sebastian currently in the Porsche, trying to chase down Jordan Daly for what is basically virtually, I might estimate, virtually P9 on the grid. Let's see where Engelhardt, he has pitted now. He's in pit lane now. So see if he can come in front of these guys.
Absolutely. There's still plenty of opportunity here. Niels Engelhardt into the pits as well. So he's going to be making his first mandatory stop, trying to potentially get an undercut on anyone ahead there. The Frenchman, Jean-Sebastian Casanega there. But here comes Diego Catalan. He's going to be fighting off a couple of cars. And in fact, that is that Felipe Brescia he's caught up to here. It is the Czech driver now. And they're going to have to thread the needle here through the GT4. Diego Catalan not getting involved in this one. This is a big opportunity. And there goes Diego Catalan up into the lead of the race. Pressure held up by that Mercedes GT4. They're side by side, and now Diego Catalan, because he's on the grass, had to hand over that position. And with the straight line speed of that Mercedes looking very strong, but it looks like Philip Brescia thinks that there's an opportunity to go defensive here, which he decides to do. Fantastic racing between the two of them, but they're not going to see a GT4 for now. That's all the way up until Maggots and Beckett, so it's a straight fight. And Diego Catalan pits. This is an early pit stop here, and he's trying to get an undercut here on Philip Brescia. He's made the first move. Brescia, it's your time to respond.
Philip Brescia making a mistake there, a rare mistake there, which incredible fighting result because of it. Conrad Jensen currently in P20, the Polish driver is, he has pit stop as well. Martin Lorenk down towards the field, having not made a single pit stop yet, but there was an amazing fight for the lead, which we haven't seen this season at all, but I'm glad we see it in the first 30 minutes of racing around Silverstone. This is the Frenchman of Jean-Sebastian, and Engelhardt is just in front of that. They just roughly 5 seconds, if my math is correct. The French driver currently in the black Porsche, the Catalan in pit lane, Kumpu in pit lane, Andy Portman in pit lane. Philip Brescia again still needs to make his pit stop. Jordan Daly going wide there because he wants to overtake a GT4 there, but he's getting overtaken in the process there by the Frenchman, and now they're going to war. Cops now. Can Jordan Daly fight for his P15? No, that's contact. That's contact. Jordan Daly makes contact with the Frenchman, but he goes through in P15, and I'm sure the stewards are, that's beautiful sportsmanship. He's going to let him go. That's beautiful sportsmanship there by Jordan Daly. Andy Boardman getting a stop and go 30-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. Absolutely heartbreaking for the lone Ferrari driver, given he was doing so well in the GT3 category. But Jordan Daly now needing, he signed out as well, now needing to overtake the Frenchman again after getting attacked by the Frenchman. So technically the Frenchman did overtake Jordan Daly, but Jordan Daly now needing to remain calm and put pressure on that Porsche. And let's see if Nick, I have a very excited Ash Baby screaming in my ears, Viva France! And Ash apparently like France, perhaps because they have such good bread. But I digress, because we are here in the UK trying to follow a mini British GT race. Jordan Daly, the British driver himself, again chasing a Frenchman. And let's see, Honzel now pitting, Tom Shipston is pitting, Kalle has pitted, Carlos Calatayud hasn't pitted yet, and he is in P5. He's going to drop down the order because he was involved in some incidents, quite some incidents earlier in this race. This is Joey Darber. He has made his first pit stop already. Joey Darber doesn't have the best of races here. He qualified in P2 if I recall, but the race is just not going to plan for him. Perhaps he was involved in the GT3 massacre as well, but currently it's Mike Redford leading, or is it Martin Lorenk? Because Martin Lorenk is now coming in pit lane. I'm quite curious where Martin Lorenk will end up, because his speed in this race has been incredible. If we can switch over to Mike Redford, I'm going to be very curious to see who will come out on top, who will come in the lead of this first pit stop phase here in Silverstone. Currently it's still Joey Darber chasing down Phillips in the 22 Aston Martin, the only Aston Martin, if I'm correct, here in the GT4. In P20, exiting pit lane now, the 171, and I'm looking to the 95 of Mike Redford, and he has indeed taken Martin Lorenk. So Martin Lorenk not in the lead yet. This is Will Stevens in one of the only 3 Ginettas here. Will Stevenson doing a great job in the Ginetta, but there's someone doing an even better job in the Ginetta. That's a Dutch driver in P25 overall, Emo Plate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Emo Plate doing a fantastic job there on his debut for the Mini British GT Championship. He's looking to potentially try and get past Jackson here as he now charges down towards Stowe corner. He's not quite going to get the Mercedes AMG on the entry, but on the exit he is trying to put the power down and try and find that exit, potentially on the way through to Abbey is my guess on this one. If he can get a good braking zone here, he is absolutely clambered onto the back of that Mercedes AMG. Did you see the braking that he put in that absolutely foot to the floor? And now he's got the exit here. Will he look to go to the right hand side on that number 99 Mercedes? I think he's going to be able to get him in the corners down towards the right hander. You can see the Ginetta is all over the back of Aaron Jackson. Maybe a look to the inside here. It's well covered there by Andrew Jackson, but it looks like now they're going to go side by side, almost close to contact. We've seen plenty of collisions here last time around, and look at that. Will Stevenson is going to fly through here on the other Ginetta, and he'll have a go this time around on the Mercedes, but the Ginetta is not great on the straight line speed here. Look at that. This is Emo Plate just following the wheel tracks of Aaron Jackson. You can already see now that the Mercedes has just launched ahead there with his straight line speed, but in the corners the Mercedes will struggle. Stevenson will sniff the exhaust fumes of the back of that Mercedes AMG, but then we go back to a straight here, and he's going to get this opportunity. Will Stevenson, they get the door slam shut on him, and the Mercedes will unfortunately for him fly ahead, but he's having a look in towards Cobb saying, I'm still in your mirrors, mate. This is going to be a big opportunity. What about Magnus and Beckers here, Dan?
You get all the amazing fights. Thank you for passing that over. Aaron Jackson still trying to fend off those two very aggressive Ginettas behind there. Look, all over the place here at Silverstone. Can they get a good exit? Aaron Jackson knows it. They don't have the best straight line speed, and so they have to do it in the to get a good run straight in the slipstream of that Mercedes. Stevenson can he pull out and maybe send one down the inside in Stowe? That's not what he's going to do. He's going to perhaps wait into the valve chicane. He's all over the place. He's all over the shop, but so is Emo Plate in their rear mirror. But look who's there creeping up behind. It's Joao Menso in the BMW. Maybe something to say about this fight, about the leading GT4, or no, this is not the lead. No, yeah, they are the leading GT4s. No, not. This is the third place. I'm all over the shop with the standings. Martin Loring and Mike Redford are just in a completely other league. Compliments to that, because I got confused that they're so far away. And there's a Ginetta move down the inside. Maybe can Emo Plate benefit from the slower exit the Ginetta possibly has, but the Mercedes has a slower exit, and then now he's bumper to bumper. And can the Ginetta have the has he enough length to send one down the inside of that Mercedes? Yes, he does. He's going to try and send it towards the inside, and he makes the move stick, and the Mercedes has to fend off Emo Plate. Now Emo Plate's so good around the corners, getting the traction down out of Luffield, but that is the Ginetta slightly a little bit on the gravel there, but it's Will Stevenson getting it drive through Adam. But this fight isn't over. Going towards the inside of Cops, he's going to send it, but Emo Plate almost losing control of the car. Absolute chaos here in this group. Beautiful. Joao Menso, does he want to risk it Cops? Surely not. He's going to think the better of it, and this is a train now once again.
For sure, a big battle here. Emo Plate also wanting his opportunity after being sent downwards, and Will Stevenson, unfortunately, with a penalty as well. That is going to be absolutely massive for his race. He climbed up to third, but unfortunately for the British-based manufacturer of Ginetta, he will have to hand that over. And unfortunately for these guys, it's not going ideal, and I'm actually going to sneeze, so I'm going to pass this over to Dan. Dan's unfortunately gone, but luckily my sneezing is decided
I
to back
muted
off on this
myself.
one.
Classic commentator's mistake, muting yourself. Go on, Adam.
Joao Manso, who goes through on MO plate on that one. I think also a bit of a defensive move mainly on this one. On towards the right hand side. A very animated producer on this one, going in toward the right hander. Anime, he says on the side of the car. Great design, in fact. You don't get many of those. You normally get these all fancy liveries of just stripes and, you know, here's where you can put a sponsor, but this is all out here for Joao Man. So brilliant stuff. So it looks like for the GT4, it's still Martin Redford from Martin Loring. Not too much copy from them. Here goes Diego Catalan through again once on Philip Breccia. Collide there for Breccia. Big incident as well. The two GT4s collide. Philip Breccia caught up in that as well, and that will be an absolutely frustrating moment there for the Czech driver. Let's get a good idea of what happened there. I think that was Smuda Skrillex there in the KTM. It's just a bit of ping pong there, and unfortunately for one of our drivers, I think that's a Ford Mustang or Chevrolet Corvette, Camaro, I should say, but he sent it down the inside and just did not see Breccia there in the number 25 Mercedes. He got it all to do here. Meanwhile, Morbad's there. There's a BMW off on the left-hand side there of the circuit. Nico Kumpu now into third, and they chart their way down. It's Niels Engelhardt there. I think that's also, I think that was Tobias Sontag. Also in his BMW, who's got off the road. I don't know if he's been able to make it back on because he's tumbling through here. Let's have a look at all of this. A bit of a touch there for the BMW on the outside. 3 wide in that one, and I think just absolutely shoveled out to the gravel traps he went. And unfortunately there for Tobias Sontag, he just managed to leans up on the Porsche. The Porsche gets a bit of a straighten it up, and there you go, just sends Tobias Sontag out onto the gravel trap. So major stuff. The stewards are going to be very busy in their stewards room here at Silverstone, but Nico Kumpu now going to have to try and fight his way. He's still got the Porsche here of Niels Engelhardt, so the fastest lap being traded from the hands of the Finnish driver over to the German. The 992 Porsche looking pretty strong here, but I wonder if this is going to be a battle all race long. It's 4.7 seconds the gap there to Philip Breccia between these guys, but I don't think they're battling for the win anymore. They're battling for a podium, and it's going to get very heated to earn that bronze, toward that bronze trophy when we get to the final hour and a half.
Too many drivers trying to take the same amount of space. That's really what's happening here with the GT3s, with the GT4s, with both classes. But this is Niels Engelhardt trying to make a move for that spot in the race, and he does so. Nico Kumpu doesn't make his life very hard, and he thinks the better of it. He's just going to lay back, help himself in the slipstream of Engelhardt, and this will eventually not only benefit his race but also benefit the race of Engelhardt, because they haven't lost as much time fighting as others maybe would. This is really, if you are a GT4 surviving Silverstone, it's not about winning anymore. Look, but there could be a very angry GT3 in your mirrors, ready to well, almost take you out. It seems that this is going this way here in Silverstone. GT4s getting bullied all over the shops, and the GT3s making their life in their class not easy as well. But rubbing is racing, hard racing is still racing, and we will see plenty more of that. 45 minutes to go, which means we are almost halfway here at Silverstone in the second round of this mini British GT season. And now we've just cooled down a bit. Now the action has cooled down. I'm going to actually, I don't know if you've heard that, but I just knocked my desk. See if we get some more action now, or less, who knows. But because it's dialed down. Oh, this is Martin Loring. Actually, a battle for the lead. See, I've cursed it. This is a battle for the lead. Martin Loring trying to overtake Mike Redford for the lead in GT4. The 95 trying to fend off the 171 Chevrolet Camaro. I got it right this time, but the Chevrolet definitely has got some legs, and I think it's faster on a straight than Mike Redford. But we are going into Cops. He's a bit far off, so I doubt he will make a move there. We again almost reaching the halfway point. We also get some more penalties in. I was just about to name those penalties. Martin Loring going through Maggots and Beckett. Does he have the speed advantage here? We'll see. Coming into Maggots, coming into Beckett, and out of a Chapel Curve. You need a great exit here. Look at the wide line. Martin in that Chevrolet Camaro GT4 to maybe get a better exit than Mike Redford, but it doesn't seem like he has the better exit. Martin Loring so far still trailing behind Mike Redford, and we have some penalties coming in here, so I'm going to name the penalties given. We have a 15-second car for number 27, avoidable contact, and we have a 5-second car for number 777, so the 777 getting a 5-second penalty. The 777, yes, that's the KTM of Joey Darber. Joey Darber already didn't have the best of races, and it seems like his race is going from bad to worse. Surprisingly, a lot of hard racing, a lot of minor contact. Surprisingly, I was expecting we would have more penalties, but maybe we will have more penalties yet to come. In any case, this battle for the lead is still going on. Martin Loring trying it around the outside. It's optimistic, not impossible. A bit squirrely on the exit there. There's a BMW he needs to watch out for, but Martin Loring still surviving on his hunt for P1.
For sure, it's a tight battle for now, and the GT3 having to slide on through. But Redford versus Loring, I think it's going to go right towards the wire. We'll have about 13 minutes before we see the next round of pit stops coming in, and I wonder if Martin Loring will potentially maybe make an undercut. We've seen it go and make of course, a big impact on other drivers' races, but you know, we'll have to see how it really turns out. Nicolas Keller has been involved in the wars quite a lot as he now looks to Tobias Sonntag, who will have plenty of dust on the side of his BMW. The McLaren versus the BMW. Hopefully this is a bit of a cleaner battle compared to what we've seen in the past, but you can see there Tobias Sonntag not very happy with his positioning at this moment in time. He wanted to be up fighting with the likes of Kumpu, Engelhardt, Dulce, Badowski. It just it was in a way unfairly done here. Meanwhile, Philip Brecha's on the outside here of Diego Catalan. What is this, part 3 of the tussle of the two leaders? And this time Philip Brecha moving past the leading GT4s as well, because I just saw Mike Redford there in the background there. You can see, so that's the two leaders in the GT3 followed by the two leaders of the GT4s. It's very, very poetic in that one. Will the Mercedes be able to get the speed down in towards Abbey? I think he needs to play it so he's getting the exit in towards the right hander here. Through they go in towards Abbey, in towards Farm, and in towards Village they go. He's not quite there with the Porsche. Onto the brakes they go, and he's now trying to just wiggle the car up to the rear, trying fishing rod hook him up and slingshot his way through. On toward the back straight we go, down the Wellington straight. He will be in the slipstream. Will he be having a look at a potential move down into that left-hander? They enter the stadium section here at Silverstone in toward the tight left-hander. Past the BRDC building on the right-hand side. Canberra is most likely blocked for this event, and they'll come out of that last corner on toward the main straight, but still no doing so far. But a couple of GT4s here. Well, in fact, there's only one here before they're in immense amount of clear air. Marco Badowski, sorry, I keep calling you Martin, I believe. Marco Badowski in the Porsche manages to slide on through. And he's put himself in a superb position as the German driver. And the number 45 is going to just try and charge ahead here with John Dalton and Honsel in behind. You can also see there Shipston in the Lexus also looking to try and get through. I think the sun has decided to pierce out from behind the clouds. Meanwhile, this quartet of cars are really starting to do battle here, and it's starting to get a little bit fierce in that mid-pack at the time. It ticks down to 40 minutes left to go of this race.
I'm getting so excited of all this racing. I just received a message I keep cutting out, but it's probably because I'm so excited. My body moves so much. I sometimes just forget where my mouth is compared to my mic, and I just get so excited. Like right now, this is Honsel trying to clear some traffic. This is John Dalton trying to clear some traffic, some more BMWs. We have a Lexus just behind. Jordan Daly currently in P10. He's not in this group, but it's the Lexus of Tom Shipston, and Armstrong and Daly are just behind there. This is John Dalton for Nearly on Pace Racing in P6. Both BMWs driven by Dalton and Honsel, driving a great race so far, just moving up the order very slowly and avoiding really all the chaos around them. And I know John Dalton is a very conscious driver. Jordan Daly going wide there, sort of losing the rear, couldn't quite see what was going on there for the Aston Martin of the 197. Keller Steele with that 15-second penalty. We have 39 minutes to go. I reckon we might see the final pit stops very, very soon. They've been driving on the same set of tires, I reckon most of them for, well, let's say 40 minutes now. The earliest they came in was around 1 hour and 10. Well, it's now 40 minutes, but we'll see. Yeah, speak of the devil, Armstrong will make his second and therefore last pit stop in this race. Jordan Daly currently in P9, needing to do an overcut, see if that will work for the British driver, and needing to clear traffic through Maggots and Baggots. Very brave there by Jordan Daly, and driving on the limit of that Aston Martin. He's the only Aston Martin in the field, by the way, so he can't really know if Jordan Daly is extracting the most out of the Aston Martin that he possibly can. We probably like to believe so. Marcus Honsel now trying to fight John Dalton for P6 right around the outside. Would be great if he sticks the move, but he doesn't, and now he has to watch out for the Lexus behind, because he's going to surely.
Highly contested battle this one, and Marcus Honsel is very much in the wheel tracks there of John Dalton. I think the BMWs are really going to have to keep themselves in a fine tune here, because their main objective is to both pass Marko Podolski in this one. Meanwhile, the Polish driver of Konrad Jeksen in the 123 BMW, who's made all his stops. So has Lily Armstrong, the American, in the number 88 Porsche, down in 17th. This is the signs that these are the final stops to be made. A little bit of a look there too from Marcus Honsel. Of course, looks like Honsel is going to be all about himself and see if he can get an extra championship point for himself. Meanwhile, of course, with John Dalton has done so well so far in this championship. It's been very, very tough. It's been so tough, despite it only being one round. You know, when you're really fighting up there, you've really got to be so fierce. You've got to strike a bit of fear into your opponent. You can't just appear up to the rear end and not do too much, because Marcus Honsel is fourth in the championship. John Dalton is fifth. They're separated by 3 points going into this one. So it will be very interesting to see if who will end out ahead once the 36 minutes have finally timed out. Niels Engelhardt 3 seconds behind Nico Kumpu, still with that fastest lap in the 992 Porsche. I believe that he is going to start to potentially now gain on that third place spot again. I think he may even go for a potential undercut, especially as we're getting to the latter stages of this race. But Dalton very much keeping himself company, but it looks like, I think, Marko Podolski has managed to set off down the road.
John Dalton wishing he didn't have to view that the BMW of Hansel in his rearview mirror. Perhaps he had just slightly better pace if he purchased a setup by our beautiful partners called Coach Dave Delta. While you're at it, while we're talking about setups, maybe you could also get a better steering wheel. Our lovely partners from Moser Racing provide you with all the best sim racing equipment there is currently on the market. And while you're at it, you can also maybe get some new sim racing gloves. Why not take the whole deal? Our beautiful partners of IMB Racewear provide those as well, and we have plenty more. Marcus Hansel currently in P7 trying to overtake John Dalton, like I just said, is filling the rear view of that BMW. It's currently BMW against the BMW against the Lexus. Adam, I love seeing a Lexus in the field. I can't get enough of it.
Absolutely, it's great seeing the Lexus out there at this moment in time. Tom Shipston really flying at the flag for the Lexus. We don't really get to see that much in real life either. You know, you got your likes of your Fords and your of course coming into the GT World Challenge and the World Endurance Championship as well, but you know, we don't really get to see a Lexus. I'd love to see maybe an Evo for the Lexus or the Nissan. That's going to be an off there for Thomas Shipson, but I don't think that's going to affect him too much unless the penalty gets tagged on to his name on our ranking. But it doesn't seem like at this moment in time. Marcus Hansel again trying to search for that inside line, but John Dalton saying you're having none of that, my friend. And in toward the Vale chicane, they'll continue on this battle as they head their way through once again. That gap now 2 seconds to Marco Badowski. So Badowski really moving through, and Hart is also closed that gap to Nico Kumpu. So it's just about being efficient driving for now as Diego Catalan, number 75. Porsche, he's now 2/10 behind Philippe Brescia. That is very much mitigating between 2/10 and 4/10 here. You see it right now in towards the left-hander of Brooklyn's, named after the very first kind of oval circuit, purpose-built circuit, I think all the way back in 1935, that where you can still visit. The circuit of Brooklands has become a museum down in southwest of London. A great place to go for your motorsports history. Diego Catalan very much starting to build more pressure here on Philippe Brescia. They've still got some clean air, but don't be surprised in the next maybe 5 minutes we see a whole hunk of GT4s to come. So this battle for sure is still not over, and expect potentially an undercut as well.
I didn't know you were such an historian, Adam, but you clearly are. Beautiful. Speaking about history, there are now 2 German manufacturers leading in Britain. I will leave it at that. Currently, we have also Nico Kumpu, the only British manufacturer in the top 3. Martin Loring still behind Mike Redford, and behind those 2 guys is a green Audi. Is there another G3? A purple GT3 which goes into pit lane right now, and Martin Loring still chasing Mike Redford for the lead here, but see if Loring can attack him. It's just been going for the way it is now with the leading GT4s for the whole race, but they are in a completely different realm than all the other GT4s. The gap to P3 is 15.2 seconds to Gauman, so Mike Redford, who didn't have the pace for the win last time, definitely has it now. But look at that, Martin Loring is close to that rear wing, is close to overtaking Mike Redford, but he's been close the whole time. I predict Martin Loring will go for it, maybe in the final lap, because why would you go for a move this early on if you can lose it with 31 minutes ago? Martin Loring is the one putting the pressure on Mike Redford. He can dictate how Mike Redford is feeling in the car. he's sort of controlling this race even more so than the leader in the GT4. And Mike Redford having to look in his rear view mirror all race long. It's just not a comfortable place to be in, but he is in that place nonetheless. Martin Loring being very close here. Will he go for a move? Mike Redford defending. Martin Loring's on the brakes, taking a wider line, maybe benefiting of that exit, trying to benefit even more so of the next exit. But is it enough? It just seems like that Chevrolet Camaro doesn't have the legs on neither the straight, neither the exit, and with 30 minutes to go, this could be crucial. But again, this is Racing Club International. This is the mini British GT season in 2025, provided by you by RCI. Anything can still happen.
Absolutely can, and for sure there's still plenty to do. The race replay here. This is Philip Brescia of course, in the 25. Oh, he's been hit there by the 29, by the 44 McLaren. That's it. Yeah, but he managed to maintain the lead in that one. I will actually go back to my. I'll go back to my. Actually, I've been told something in my ears. Yes, he does. Philip Brescia, 5-second time penalty, and I believe that may be a track limit. So super unfortunate there for the Mercedes driver. He will have to really push the pedal to the metal if he wants to try and open that lead and potentially have to fight back on that one. I'll actually correct my my facts on Brookwood Circuit. It was actually opened in 1907 and closed in 1939, so a 32-year stint as a racing venue, but it is still a museum, so of course go feel free to visit that one. Now Philip Breccia into the pit lane he goes, and this is something they will have to do immediately. Could this be the race winning pit stop? In comes Niels Engelhardt as well, so Engelhardt could even take advantage of this one. I saw that once he pierced into the pit lane, this could be a big potential for this one. Now we're seeing Martin Lorenk now, who actually had a role during qualifying at the next corner coming up. He is going to be all over for the lead here, but look at the BMW. I think that might be that Marco Honzel, I believe, as well. And there goes the 60 of Tom Shipton. So two getting involved in the battle for the lead in the GT4 class. Oh my goodness me, I thought it was going to happen again. Martin Lorenk in the 170.
Deja vu.
Martin Lorenk in the 171. Very, very close to doing it once again, but he's still staying on and looking like he'd be trying to go for a second win in a row. But it's the Americans up against the Brits and the manufacturers. It is the I believe the Slovenian or the Slovakian. I'll say both just in case. I don't want to kind of mismatch nationalities, and I will check after this one. Up against the Brit of Mike Redford, so very much the Brits and the crowd cheering on the McLaren in this one, but Lorenk will stop at nothing to get his second victory in the GT4 class this season.
No, he will not indeed, but he still has to fight for it because Mike Redford doesn't stop at anything either. So these two will go toe to toe, neck to neck for the whole remainder of this race, which is 27 minutes and roughly 50 seconds, as the track temperature is improving. I mean, going a bit higher. It's getting warmer, 26 degrees, but look at that. Was that a slow exit by Mike Redford? I think it is. Is it enough for Martin Lorenk to go down the inside? I don't think so. I think Martin Lorenk is deliberately trying to stay on that P2 to get an overtake in last minute. This is what I said 10 minutes ago as well. Martin Lorenk is patiently waiting for his chance. Mentally, Mike Redford will be ill, like I said, because he is all over in his rear view mirrors. The gap to P3 is 22 seconds to Emo Plata in the number 71 Ginetta. But we do have a Ginetta in P3, so on the podium spot. Joey Darbeck getting a bit better, getting his groove back, currently in P4, but he does have a 5-second penalty. And I'm curious, who is the leader of the race right now? As Martin Lorenk went side by side, and it's John Dalton provisionally, Catalan currently in P4, Nico Kumpu in P5, Nico Engelhardt in P6, Philip Breccia provisionally in P4. He has gone all the way down from the lead to P4. Heartbreaking for Philip Breccia, not for the championship, because this is going to be very exciting, not only at the end of this race, but also after the end of this race, because I have no idea who's going to lead at the end of this race in the championship. But we still have 26 minutes to figure that out, as Jordan Daly is currently provisional P3, P13, and chasing down the BMW of Sontag.
I will confirm for our audience and say commentator maths is not the best maths. So
No.
do not trust our do not trust our calculations whilst on the fly. We can just about manage two title contenders in the final race of the season. That's about enough we can manage. I've had to cover 5 for a title fight before on an F1 game, so that was highly interesting and very confusing. And I actually had to stay on stream because we had a tiebreaker in the end. Jordan Daly, anyway, in the Aston Martin, he's coming up now on the McLaren there of Mike Redford. And remember, Martin Lorenc is in the pit lane. So yeah, I heard you there. I heard you here there, Dan. Yes, Martin Lorenc is now in the pit lane in the Chevrolet Camaro. So this is now time for Mike Redford to come through and push for all that he can and see if he can potentially come out ahead of Martin Lorenc. Meanwhile, Jordan Daly still all over the number 223 BMW here of Tobias Sontag. When you have a look at the outside, looks like Sontag will decide to go very defensive here on the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin, the Daly will now look to the outside. Oh, that's a bit of a fishy line there for Tobias Sontag, but you know, he's managed to get into the corner. I don't know if he's going to be able to have the straight line speed here. It looks like the Aston Martin, I believe it's the old version of the Aston Martin, not the Evo that we're seeing for the likes of ComTu and Walkenhorst Motorsport that is currently being used. Yeah, I believe this is still the base version that we saw from a couple of seasons ago. Still in use here in a set of course of competizione. So really not quite going to be the same match for the BMW M4 GT4 Evo, which has been very much produced for both real life and for sim racing as well. Carefully designed in both aspects, and for sure it's been a brilliant addition into the real life world and the sim world, which has been hoisted with so much success over the last few years, has the BMW M4 GT3, and this is still an intriguing battle. But of course BOP is involved in this championship and still can make an effect with these cars.
We talked about BOP actually, me and Adam, before this race. We were talking about WEC, and I thought, just for a moment, I would love to see what cars are truly capable of without BOP. What would be the best car on the grid without any BOP, which is the same they do in F1, of course. But then again, you have cars dating back to 2024. We have the new Mustang who was introduced in 2024, and then I think the Lexus Evo, which we are seeing now, came out all the way back in 2020, if my math or well is correct. It probably isn't, but Tom Shipston anyway is still driving in P8. Would love to see it one day, a GT3 or a WEC race without BOP. But Tom Shipston again in P8. John Dalton not driving in the John Dalton zone, needing to look in his rear view mirrors because there's a Lexus behind him. In front of him there is a Honzo, there is a BMW of Honzo, but crucially everyone in the GT3 has made their pit stop, so we will have no more pit stop. This is going to be fighting for the outright lead of the race, and the GT4s are fighting as well. Martin Lorenc on the side. Oh, it looked
Oh,
like that on this angle. Switch back. Through goes Martin Loring down the inside of Mike Redford, and he does make the move. Martin Loring is your new race leader in the GT4 so far, but can Mike Redford go back a bit wide there by Martin Loring? Can Mike Redford make some time up around the outside? Outside turns to the inside for Mike Redford, but Martin Loring keeps his speed up, and this fight will just not end. Mike Redford, can he get a better exit? No, he can't. Martin Loring is your new GT4 leader at Silverstone.
brilliant move there by Martin Loring, but here comes the McLaren. He's in the slipstream, going to be looking around the outside. Look at the inside here to Brooklands. Audacious move there from the McLaren. He holds it on the inside, but the Chevrolet Camaro, there's contact between the two, and it looks like the Czech driver will hold it on the inside, and they go side by side out of the corner and onto the gravel. Dips there, Mike Redford, and Redford will have to get that position up and go again. Titanic battle, and through comes I believe our GT3 leader, and he's going to be held up a little bit. Here is Diego Catalan, and this is where he's going to have to find a way through on this one. Titanic battle on this one, and looks like Mike Redford saw a gap in that one, and he's now looking to try and find a way through immediately.
Not surprisingly as well, Mike Redford trying to do everything he can to get back to that lead, but who's been at the back of Mike Redford all race long? The tables have truly been turned now, but can Mike Redford do the same that Loring did the whole race? He seems to be closing it because that McLaren has just got so much straight line speed. Now he's overshoot the corner. Martin Loring, no, Mike has, and Martin Loring is the one who will gain time on the McLaren on that B2 in the GT4 category, and that was quite a bold send, and it was too bold because Martin Loring could easily switch back and overtake Mike Redford for the lead in the GT4 category. Yet again, it's Stoddard was now coming into Abbey. Martin Loring still retaining that lead, and my voice is fading, Adam.
I'll take over then. John Dalton in toward the right-hander, still chasing Marco Honzel, and the 35 ahead of the 899. Again, these BMWs have been batting all throughout, but it looks like Honzel has in fact got ahead of John Dalton. Dalton going to look for the inside. It looks like Honzel says, no you don't, my friend, and they're going to carry this battle all the way down the Wellington straight in the 899. Very much going to be in contention here. He's going to have a look around the outside, and just for that yellow and black BMW. Oh, he tried to go for a switch there. That's going to be interesting racecraft here, because he's now going to gain all the way back up, because that tight line there he set out for Marco Honzel. Big driving here by both cars, and that's going to allow Tom Shipston to try and get a nose in on this one. He's still a whole second back, but of course that will refresh as we go over the timing beam. Look at the green on the side of the number, on the right of the numbers. That means the whole 23 all the 23 cars there in the top 23 have made their pit stops here, so it's now a fight to the end. Shipson now 7.5 tenths to the back of these two BMWs, and I wonder if he's able to nip through at some point. He's still going to do a little bit of gaining. He's still going to watch these guys with the popcorn in hand, steering wheel in the other, and see if he can potentially eat it all up and then just fly on through. Bruno Teixeira, in fact, in the number 11 Ford Mustang, making his final pit stop there. He's about to exit the pit lane now, but he's rolling down that lane, and here comes John Dalton. Will Dalton have a look to the outside? Meanwhile, we see John Sebastian Kasanjega. He's now looking around the outside here for the top 10 on Lily Armstrong. They're side by side. There's a bit of contact between the two. Lily Armstrong right off onto the right hand side, but they'll stay side by side. And in fact, Jean Sebastian Casanega will now invite Lily Armstrong back through on this one. So yeah, a little bit of contact between the two, but really good racecraft and a good amount of sportsmanship between our sim racers here. Of course, it's a fierce battle out on circuit, but there's still some gentlemanly and gentle lady, whatever the word is, out there as well.
We have seen some great sportsmanship, not only from Gassing-Ena, but also from Jordan. God, that is a hard last name to pronounce. But also from Jordan Daly. We've seen some sportsmanship. This is a race replay coming up from Jordan Daly, actually punting the BMW. Have I just cursed Jordan Daly? No, I think he's going to wait. He is going to wait. Yeah, he is going to wait. So he probably has given the position back. So again, great sportsmanship. This is Mike Redford. Currently the leading GT4, and the gap to Martin Loring is 1.4 seconds, so it's increasing. Tom Shipson is going to overtake Martin Loring on the outside of Corpus. No, he isn't. Of Corpus, there's Maggots. On the outside of Maggots, at least he fought the better of it, and he loses a lot of time to those GT3s ahead, but he keeps the GT4s alive. Redford now closing in a little bit, but he's seeing the lead, the victory in Silverstone slipping away just ever so slightly by the 10th, and that's not a great position to be in if you're Mike Redford. But knowing Mike Redford, oh, there goes the Frenchman yet again down the inside, but he can't get his nose in. Armstrong just too fast out of Stowe and into Stowe as well. See if Sebastian then in the 911 Porsche can make the move elsewhere, or is Lily Armstrong just too fast in that 88 Porsche? We have a decorated Porsche of Armstrong and a black Porsche around the outside towards into Abbey, and maybe a switchback getting the better exit so he can maybe try it into finish, but he needs to take the outside line, cut back maybe. No, Lily Armstrong fending it off very nicely there towards the inside, but thinking the better of it yet again. And these two are just coin tossing, swapping position after position, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, only when we're over the line. Look at that. We have Jean-Sebastian again down the inside, making the move stick perhaps now into Laffield. Is he in front? Yes, he is. Does he make the move? He has the outside line, but does he have the traction? He does, but it's not enough because Lily Armstrong is still there, going towards Cops now. Can Lily Armstrong fight back towards the inside? She needs to make sure she doesn't understeer, but she thinks better of it and slots in behind the Frenchman.
Well, brilliant stuff there by the two of Kassenjäger and Armstrong. Those two really having a big old tussle. Here is Mike. Hang on, Mike Redford there.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know why my brain just decided to go elsewhere to a completely different surname. But yeah, Mike Redford also getting in the way there with Martin Lorenk, and really interesting to see how they're going to potentially go through the back. And look at that, Lily Armstrong has lost so much time and he's going to lose even more with Martin Lorenk kind of being a little bit of a box in the way there. And Armstrong going to lose more and more time, having to go right to the outside there of the Chevrolet Camaro, and in fact will stay behind the Camaro, and it's not like the Camaro has to let her through because he's also in a lead battle as well. So look at the time that she is losing here. Meanwhile, Nicolas Keller, who's in the number 27 McLaren, he's going to try and potentially go through on Nicole Fox. Of course, I think Nicole Fox has had a bit of a slow burner this race. It's been a quiet race for our number 314 Porsche. But she is still managing herself at this moment in time, with Keller being hit with multiple penalties. But there's still some really top stuff happening all throughout the race here. Nicholas Engelhardt still with that fastest lap. And you can see right also behind one of the cars, and that's John Dalton. In fact, and back to that Marco Honsel and John Dalton battle, with Tom Shipton still in behind, but he's dropped way back, in fact 2.6 seconds there with the number with the Gensec 123 BMW in behind as well. We now find ourselves in the final 12 minutes here. Dalton to the inside and towards Maggers and Beckers, but you know, that was never on. I think that would have been so risky, such a risky maneuver to do, and I don't think that would have happened at all.
While this fight is going on, I want to just keep my eyes a little bit of the man in P20. No, actually John Dalton going for a move in Stowe here. And there's not going for a move in Stowe here. Maybe with the switchback having the better exit, but he has to wait on the apex of the corner to get on throttle. Going into Villa chicane now around the outside. Surely he can't make it around the outside, and he doesn't as well. But can he get the better exit? Now out of Club, that is, onto the Hamilton straight. Main straight for F1, not here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. John Dalton towards the inside. Oh look, there's the BMW going. Can John Dalton compromise? Can he benefit of that mistake? A little loft up there. John, more loft taps, I think. No, they keep it clean so far, and so John Dalton has to slot back behind again. This fight is raging on, and there's an angry Lexus in the name of Tom Shipston looking behind as well. Maybe he to say something about the P6, P7 positions, but the man in P21 started P8 on the GT4 grid, currently driving in P3. His name is Aaron Jackson, doing his nation proud, currently grabbing a podium. If it ends like this, 10 minutes ago, Aaron Jackson driving a really good and consistent race, and so far again going for a podium. Mike Redford just up ahead. Well, I said just up ahead, 17 seconds ahead. It is quite the gap in P20F overall. This is the fight. John Dalton into Beckett's. Can he make the move sick? The BMW is still there out of Beckett's. He has the inside, pushing the BMW a little. The move done for John Dalton. Amazing move, but it needed to be done.
Yeah, really good stuff there, and John Dalton looking very aggressive. Look in the background there. That is Tom Shipson, and he's going to look to try and take an advantage. Does he have the legs on that limping BMW who just couldn't get the traction off? They'll move their way down in toward the Vale and Club chicane, and they're through past one of our GT4, but they'll be line astern with Dalton from Honsel from Shipston, and I don't think this is over with 9.5 minutes remaining. The tension is going to be turned up. The wicks are going to be up for all three of these drivers. If there's something on offer, they gotta go and chase them now, because you won't have long left. Usually the first 10 minutes go pretty slowly, but those last 10 minutes will go by in an absolute flash of light. Nicolas Keller on the inside of Nicole Fox, the Porsche up against the McLaren. Nicole Fox will duck in behind, and it looks like the Frenchman making a good overtake on that one. A good clean overtake is actually what he needs compared to his other attempts in previous moments gone by, but yeah, he'll be gaining a few positions at the end of the night, but he'll be going past our GT4 leader Philip Martin Sontag.
Lorek, yes,
yeah,
I know, commentating, it's tiring. We've been, Martin Lorek going a bit wider, or maybe to avoid a GT3 there. The thing I noticed the most is Mike Redford, 6.8 seconds back to Martin Lorek. Something has happened to Mike Redford, which we didn't see. It must have occurred, must have happened last lap. Still, the gap to P3 is roughly 10 seconds, so Mike Redford is still in the safe. So we have a race replay of Mike Redford. Is this the fight between the leader? We've completely missed this. Yes, Martin Lorek. Oh no, this was the fight for the lead earlier ago. So nothing happened here. But that's the only thing we have on Mike Redford. So probably a spin by his own, a mistake by his own, otherwise it would get picked up by our broadcasting tool, Spoda Skrillex, in his KTM GT4. Ah, look at that, that is the GT3 of Philip Breccia. That's very close, too close still, and it's a lot of cars trying to occupy the same space on the track. We were talking about Silverstone being the widest track on the calendar together with Spa, but Silverstone is a bit bigger, but in the corners it's going to get smaller a little bit, and it's just not wide enough for the GT3s and the GT4, especially not in a village. But Philip Breccia anyway currently in P4, trying to make up for that penalty.
Absolutely, that's the roll of the dice. Unfortunately, he's not rolled too many high numbers as Philip Breccia this time around compared to his great run at Donington Park, which I'm sure he'll be so thankful to go back to at round 8 in the last round of the championship. We take a look at Bruno Teixeira's race, who's been pretty lonely down there in P18. The number 11 Ford Mustang has been so caught up in the wars and really not had the best race of his own, but I'm sure the Ford Mustang will be for sure back at the next round at Oulton Park, where we move up towards the likes of very near Chester and quite near Liverpool, in fact, in that one. But yeah, overall we're going to be seeing some really good racing, and the 30-minute, 2x 30-minute races are just going to be a whole different ball game compared to what we've seen today. I love the dynamics of going from this 1.5 hour endurance where you can we have to really kind of work everything out, and then you've got a race that's only going to be half an hour, and then you get to do it all over again. Diego Catalan trying to maneuver his Porsche all the way into some of these tight hairpin corners before unleashing all the horsepower of that Porsche down one of these main straights. He's got a 1.2 second advantage to Nico Kumpu. I really want to shout out here Nico Kumpu, because he's been so consistent during this race. And oh my goodness me, Diego Catalan having a bit of a swapper moment there. But yeah, Nico Kumpu has been really solid this race. He's really been able to get that car and put it in the right place at the right time, deal with the chassis as well, and put himself in a really good position. In fact, if you have a look in the rear view mirror, that little dot right there, that is in fact Nico Kumpu. So Diego Catalan still has something to fight for. He can't lift his throttle, his foot off the pedal just yet. Nico Kumpu, I'm not sure if he's going to have the tyres, because I believe he did a really early pit stop compared to everyone else, maybe by a lap or two, but this is the effect he's having. He's dropped him a 10th in that last sector, and that McLaren is going to be right on the move here. But with 4.5 minutes to go, I don't know if that's going to be, is this going to be the one for Nico Kumpu?
I was just to say Nico Kumpu doing a great race together with Aaron Jackson. We haven't seen Nico Kumpu a lot. We haven't seen Aaron Jackson a lot, but that is because they're just so consistent, staying out of trouble and getting really a great result so far as it stands like this. Engelhardt has the fastest lap currently in P3 in his 992 numbered Porsche. Philip Breccia just 1.3 seconds behind that car. We will roughly do 44 laps here at Silverstone after 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing, and it's dialing down now a little bit, so I'm going to plug our beautiful social media channels if you haven't seen so already, as some GT. Thank you Ash Bibi for needing to take myself out of the plugging of our social media back into the GT4 action as well. But whatever, Spoda Skrillex currently trying to overtake Phillips in the only Aston Martin GT4. We've seen Phillips quite a bit this race. We've seen him in quali, we've seen him in the race, but currently fighting for valuable points, Skrillex and Phillips. But does that KTM have the legs on the straight? The Aston Martin, I think, does so, because we can see Spoda Skrillex just gaining a bit in the corners, which for me means the Aston Martin is a bit faster on the straight. But if you haven't done so already, we just boosted our social media channels, especially on our Instagram. We're doing great numbers and we're active again. And if you want to keep up with everything that's happening, not only in this race but also in the other races, please check out our social media channels, our Instagram channel, our TikTok, because we have TikTok now. Yes, we do. For every single highlights, for a lot of highlights, not only again in this race but a lot of races during the week as well. Back to the action, GT4 then Spoda Skrillex in his 200, no making any real gains on that Aston Martin. He's trying to show himself in the rear view mirror of that Aston Martin, but Richard Phillips doesn't bite, he doesn't succumb to the pressure of Spoda Skrillex. Now Armstrong still in P10. Carlos Galatius, who was involved in such a mess at the first half hour in this race, he's currently down in P11. The Spaniard, he is pretty quick. We know that he can have the pace, he can be together with the top 5, but sometimes a race just doesn't go your way, does it, Adam?
No, it doesn't, and it's going to be so unfortunate for Carlos Galatius. He's really going to have to fight back come the next round at Alton Park, and there's going to be so much riding on that race, I think, for him, especially who's had a string of pretty difficult results. Yes, it's not the most ideal thing to have. But for sure, these guys are going to be very much in a decent place for now. And Carlos Galatius, I think, will definitely come back stronger come the next round. But with a 14th place and the 11th place here, I think he'll definitely have a potential of placing himself in the top 10. Meanwhile, we are going on to our last lap because Diego Catalan has crossed the line here, and that number 75 Team Monkey Racing Porsche has been absolutely flying. He's now got Nico Kumpu a second behind him as the clock continues to tick down, but this will be the white flag. This will be the final lap here down in towards Stowe Corner. That is now 0.8 of a second, and Nico Kumpu has kind of just left his energy to very last moment here. Nico Engelhardt is still going to be placing on the podium. For sure, there's going to be plenty to talk about once the checker flag fly, but you can see there, look at the braking here for Nico Kumpu. He is pushing everything he can out of that McLaren. The clock ticks to 0, and this is going to be it for our two drivers. Nico Kumpu, I think, may have left it a lap too late to go and challenge the Spaniard of Diego Catalan, but the blue and orange Porsche can just cruise it to the line. We've got the next split, of course, coming up here, the next sector time on this around this circuit, and we'll just be able to see how close it is there. Still 0.8 of a second, so Diego Catalan on his way to victory. We thought it was going to be the Czech driver of Filip Breccia who took first blood at Donington Park. He was leading for the majority of the race, but GT Ford just got in the way, and there is a new crown hovering above somebody's head, and that somebody is Diego Catalan. The Porsche will round the final corner, and Diego Catalan is a winner at Silverstone. He is the winner of our second round of the Mini British GT Championship, with Nico Kumpu coming home in a second with Niels Engelhardt in third, taking that fastest lap with Filip Breccia and Marco Badowski, the German driver, putting in a stonking performance. John Dalton will finish ahead of Marco Honzal, in just ahead of Tom Shipton, who finishes home in 8th. We wait now for Martin Lorenk in the Chevrolet who is now heading his way through Stowe Corner and on towards the Vale and Club chicane. It has been an almighty race for him, as we now see Lily Armstrong crossing over the line to complete the top 10. Carlos Galatius will try and regroup himself to make sure he gets a top 10 for the next time we see some of our back markets. It is going to be Jackson there in the 99 Mercedes. He's crossed the line after our winner finished home in third ahead of Joao Manso in the 222 BMW. But this is your man of the moment in the GT4 category. Of course, started this in the qualifying session a little bit off the pace for Martin Lorenc. Had a little bit of a roll for Martin Lorenc as well. So he's now going to head his way in towards those final couple of corners, and he is going to be absolutely beaming with delight. He has taken a win at Donington Park. He'll go 2 on the bounce as he now slides the car through the right hander there of Luffield. It is roll to win for Martin Lorenc. He wins in GT4, a super result, and Mike Redford will only dream what could have been. He will have to come back in the third round at Alton Park, but what a race here at Silverstone.
It was completely action-packed with chaos. I did not predict. These are the race results. Are they the definitive race results? No, penalties can still come in later, but these are probably the definitive race results. Catalan then in P1. Kumpu takes P2. Engelhardt with the fastest lap takes the final podium spot. It's Philip Breccia who has a disappointing race, finishing in P4, followed by Bedowski. John Dalton having a great race. Same counts for Honsel, same counts for Shipston. Cassie Negna in P9, Armstrong in P10, the Spaniard Calatiud in P11, followed by Sontag, Keller, Fox, Crofts, Howling, Jetson, Teixeira, Redford, Lorenc, Jackson, Manso, Emo Plate, Joey Tarbe. We're going to the GT4s now, actually. Martin Lorenc, who obviously won the GT4. This is the GT4. Mike Redford is in P2, finished in P2. Like Adam said, what could have been, still drove a strong race nonetheless, because they're the only GT4s not to get laps before the leader coming across the line. Jackson in P3, Manso in P4, Plate in P5, followed by Tauber, followed by Phillips, Spoda Skrillex in P8, Thibaut Roskamp finishes in P9, Arnake in P10, Scotsman Matt Malcolm, who we haven't really seen all race, finishing in P11, Foster, Hosman, Stevenson in P14, and it's us and Hull did not finish this race. And that is the grid, that is the final grid, the final finishing results here in Silverstone, Adam.
We have got those are the finishing results. Of course, there will still be potential penalties inputted as well, so be aware for that one. And of course, for sure, keep an eye on our website at RCI. I believe we've also got a couple of replays, but this is not from our race. This is from the Division 2 race that happened whilst our top split was going around the circuit. We also had our second split going on, so our highlights are going to be shortly played for that one. But it really just showed the Silverstone, no matter what simulator you have Silverstone on, it will always provide great sim racing action, real life action. And it is just one of those circuits that is absolutely steeped in motorsport history, and for sure it's a must-go place for all motorsport fans. It is such an iconic circuit and such a good racing circuit. You know, you've got a whole bunch of everything to create this circuit, and you're just seeing the big old Silverstone wing that has made this place so infamous. You can see that from a couple of maybe 1, 2 or 3 miles away from the circuit. You just see that pointing out, and it's such a great one. But this is the split 2 highlights from our T2 drivers, and already there was a little bit of contact from our GT3 field, but they continue to head through. you know, these guys were also batting very, very hard from the word
Ironically,
go.
sorry to interrupt you, Adam, but ironically, we do have a Lamborghini GT3, I think currently in the lead of the champions. No, that's not true, but we do have a Lamborghini two Lamborghinis, in fact, driving around in the GT3. We have an Alpine GT4 in the GT4 category as well in Split 2. So funny to see those kind of choices in Split 2 if we talk about GT3, GT4. I'm sure we'll see some GT4 standings in, or GT3 and GT4 Split 2 standings in a bit as well. The results are live on our website as well. Be sure to check those out. And talking about our website, this is only your Monday championship, and I'm sure we have some more in the future. Our next closest race is, if I'm not mistaken, on July the 5th on the World Tour. And actually not much action this week, but we will get to the interviews because there are a lot of interviews waiting in the wing, starting with a man who might be a little bit disappointed. Philip Breccia, P4. Happy or sad?
Mixed feelings, to be honest. The fight with Diego was pretty funny. It was up and down. Yeah, I was happy with the fight, but yeah, race was decided behind the table and not on the track. So yeah, pretty disappointed, to be honest.
What happened? Because I'm not sure we've seen your incident. Can you? Also, do you know why you are penalized? Exactly for which incident?
There were two GT4s after the Abbey corner into that right sharp corner.
Yeah.
He was white. It was Camaro. It wasn't Martin Lawrence. But yeah, he was white. And then he sent it to the inside like nothing happened. So I turned in and I got hit and caused the collision. But yeah, such a stupid incident because he was fucking white. And, yeah, sorry for the language, but yeah, sorry.
Believe
Yeah.
I mean, it's racing. Anything can happen, of course. And hopefully you have a better race next time. We sure know you have the pace. Adam, do you have any questions for Philip?
The traffic aside, it was a pretty strong qualifying for you as well, Philip. Talk us through your qualifying because it must have been tough putting a lap together in 10 minutes.
For some reason, the AMG worked pretty well in the quali. I was really surprised how the quali went, but yeah, I expected faster times from Mr. Catalan and also from Marco Badowski, but yeah, I was happy with the pole. And the rest of the race was pretty tough because AMG is not the fastest car on the Silverstone, so most of the time I defended myself and I hope for better result, but yeah, happens.
Of course,
Well-
another question from me. Sorry to butt in there, Dan,
No,
but
go
we
on.
we go from the big wide open Silverstone circuit to Alton Park. Of course, a very narrow circuit. You get 30 minutes for two races. What is it going to be like going from those changes?
I must say, it will be mayhem, absolute mayhem during the multi-class. And yeah, let's see what can we do with that because it's gonna be pretty fun.
Philip, all the best to you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck. Well, from a winner last time around, we go to a winner this time around in Silverstone. GT4 winner Martin Lorenk. A double win. You must be happy with that.
Hello. Yes, thank you. This time it was way less easy, not easier, but straightforward because Mike was absolutely flying. The McLaren was flying. I've seen I saw on him that the Maca is weak on the brakes, so I was trying to capitalize on that, which in the end, yes, worked before the F1 finish, so that was great. But yeah, I'm sweating. I'm sweating a lot. It wasn't easy.
Is it hot over there as well? Because the chill is here.
Yeah, well, yesterday I got sunburn.
Oh, lovely.
Like
That helps.
I look like a apple. I would say with a Counter Strike player beneath, like beneath the shirt. So yeah, I'm burnt. I'm burnt. The heat is hot. Not today that much because it was raining for a while. But yeah, well, PC is proving me otherwise.
Well, of course, glad for you. You've won your second race. Adam, over to you.
Thank you.
Martin, that was a super race from you. You know, you kept the pressure there on Mike, and it managed to pay off. How did you kind of work that out? Was it all down to strategy, or was it down to pure racing?
Um, as people here know me for a while, I'm not like a striker, like to go for every possible opportunity. I'm like not a hyena style, but I am just like a careful watcher, and anytime someone makes mistakes, instantly I'm there, waiting. So it was part of the plan, like because like as I said, the McLaren top speed was just not fun for my Camaro. Muscle car that is slow on the straight, well, that's disappointing. um, and so I needed to do something different. So yeah, one of those things was like pushing him and staying right on his rear bumper. Which yeah, in the end it worked, but it was very hard. The racing, the fights side by side was great, except one tiny little argy-bargy, but that was not like something terrible. So yeah, I'm happy with this race. I enjoy it a lot. So yeah, and great improvement from Mike in this season because he is really pushing us forward. So it's good. It's very good. I'm happy with that.
Martin, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. All the best for Alton Park as well.
Thank you. I will be looking forward to it.
Okay, man.
Good luck, Martin.
Okay,
As
see you around.
You're around.
As we round off the interviews, we see some replay of Split 2. Not sure who has won yet, but we're currently at lap 19. Be mindful. In our race, we had 44 laps, so not sure how long this replay is going to take. But Callum Carrigan currently, oh gosh, colliding with a Porsche. No clue who that Porsche was, but Split 2 providing us with some great entertainment as well. I wonder if we can get the Split 2 standings on as well. But for now, we'll look at the replay. We can see Peter Varga and Daniel Quinton. Peter Varga normally finds himself in Split 1, but deciding for him maybe Split 2 is the best place. And Jesus, that's a whole big incident for the GT4 there. Peter, this could have been way worse actually. Peter Varga just getting touched there by Daniel Crinson, suspecting Daniel Crinson might let that position go. But interesting as they round off lap 23, as Peter Varga clearly isn't happy. Maybe something will happen as well, because this is another highlight. These are only this race. Let's see, dive Daniel Crinson. Daniel Crinson does give the position back. Oh, it's a battle. It's a lovely battle. But Split 2 again providing us with some excellent action, Adam.
Yeah, it did, and also I do want to apologise for any colourful language that you did hear during our broadcast. Emotions are running high amongst the race, and especially for our GT3 drivers that are so competitive. You see what it means to them. You know, it's not an ideal scenario, but we do see things like that happening. That was Peter Varga, I believe, going wide in that one with Daniel Crimson. So yeah, that 25, and that was a titanic battle between those guys, and for sure they were battling. It seemed like all throughout this race. Remember, we haven't seen any of these replays or anything to do with the split two, but again, it does seem like these guys were very much involved in each other's business, and this is the beauty of Silverstone. You know, you're just seeing these guys switching places, and also that's a great shot there. Both the hoods just going down there, and just that transition from the rear going from the bottom to the floor to the front, dropping down like a rock to the beach. And you know, those guys are very much in it to win it there. Back at lap 31, and we saw this little tussle here. It looks like the 975 of Rudy Filmata in the Ginetta, and I believe is he going to get potentially caught in an incident? No, it looks like it's all clean, but Rudy Filmata looking like a very top driver in that one. So hopefully hopefully some of these guys are doing well. Of course, if you do want to see what these standings look like for our split two, you can go over onto the on the Racing Club International website. You can have a look at our championships and our splits, and have a look at our mini British GT Championship standings.
We have the split two race standings, I think, but the championship standings in any way. So let's see if we can get those. But as we're still seeing the finish, we're nearing the finish. It's lap 38 now, lap 45. This is the race finished. The race is won by the number 46 GT3. I know that livery. That's the livery of Les Stevenson, so the championship leader, winning the split 2 race in the GT3 category. Les Stevenson winning the race. Beautifully done by Les Stevenson. It seems like he has won dominantly as well. Great job there by Les Stevenson. I'm curious who has won the GT4. I'm sure we're about to find out.
We are, and it's been some really good stuff there. And there you go. There is Les Stevenson. Top of the standings on 68 points, an 18-point advantage over Sam Lloyd, with Richard Whittle, Ferrari. The two Ferraris, of course, just running out the podium. Then we find Andrew Reif in P4 with Tom Watts in the Aston Martin. He's on 34 points, joint with the fourth-place runner of Andrew Reif. We find Idris Partes in the Lamborghini GT3 Huracan in the number 159. We see the 999 of Peter Lundqvist in the other Lamborghini Huracan. So those two are running pretty well. Of course, they still have plenty of time still to make up if they wanted to go for a title. Then we see Ibiza Racing in the BMW M4 GT3 on 20 points, followed by Rockane in the Ferrari, followed by their teammate in the Ferrari, Nicolas Galvois, in the number 555 on 9 points. I'm sure Dan, you're going to absolutely rip me to shreds up stream end after that pronunciation. Gertrude Speed in the Ferrari, 0 points for the number 20 with Matthew Henry on 0 points. And then we have nothing for Adnan Pusina and Cairo Samuel and James Spinner in these in the final standings on this one. So GT3 looking pretty strong, especially the top 10. Then we move on to GT4. Callum Kenningham leading the way in the Aston Martin Vantage GT4. A strong set of results for him. 22-point lead over Rudy Fulmata, the South African, who's now in the... So I don't think he had a very strong race to Silverstone, it seemed like, from the standings, but he's now 4 points ahead of Peter Varga in the BMW M4 GT4, the 508. Then we find Daniel Crinson in the Alpine, the first of 3 Alpines, in fact, with Elwold Norwegian in the BMW on 31 points. Then we find Tessa thirdly in the Alpine, followed by Damien Lowe, and then Ellie in the Aston Martin. Then we find the other and final Alpine of Hugo Duby on 15 points. He's also joined on 15 points with Philip Rina in the Mercedes AMG GT4 there in 10. Then we move on to Bernardo Teixeira in the other Alpine. Plenty of Alpines in this championship in split 2. He's in 11th place on 13 points, with 12th being Alex Davey, the South Korean in the McLaren. Then we find Reese Wilkinson, the Welshman. Loving a bit of Welsh representative for the Ginetta. He's currently on 5 points and 0 point for James Purchase and Kevin Boss, the two Aston Martin drivers. Then we find the other Aston Martin driver of Dave Beckett, Extreme Gamer in the Mercedes AMG GT4, the number 17, the German, down in 17th. And last, that is it for Split 2. A strong set of results for both of our splits and some very, very entertaining racing. You know, that's exactly what we need here at RCI, and we're getting it indeed. Of course, our next round at Alton is going to be a whole different ball game, a very, very challenging circuit up in the north. I believe our most northern round of the championship that we go to, the only ones higher that I can think of is Croft Circuit, which we don't go to, and of course Knockhill, which is all the way up in Scotland. Luckily, we only get a British GT race there, because that would be absolute chaos by 10.
We have the split one results of this race as well. Here is your race results once more. We have Diego Catalan in P1, followed by Philip Breccia. These are obviously the standings, not the race results. Diego Catalan is leading the championship now. Philip Breccia is in P2. Nika Kumpu is in P3. Marko Badowski is in P4 with 43 points to his name, only 1 point shy of P3. Niels Engelhardt, the German driver, 36 points, followed by Marcus Honsel, followed by the two British drivers named John Dalton and Tom Shipston. 33 points for Dalton, 24 points for Shipston, followed by Sontag and Lily Armstrong rounds off the top 10. We have then P11 Jean-Sebastian, the Frenchman, with 9 points. Equal P12 Carlos Calassius and Jake Howling, both 7 points to their name. Then we have Jordan Daly with 4 points, Nico Fox Keller and Annie Boardman with 3 points, Luke Crofts with only 1 point, and it's Conrad Jetson and Bruno Teixeira with 0 points to their name. Then we have the rest of the field, Giannis with 0 points to his name. And then the GT4 standings, which are Martin Lorenk currently. He is P1 in the standings, dominantly so far with 72 points to his name. Mike Redford trails with 57 points. Joey Darber and Joe Manso both have 39 points, followed by Jackson, followed by Will Stevenson, Fibo Roskam in P7, Richard Phillips in P8, Emo Plate in P9, and Spode Skrillex in P10. It's Teders in P11, Rafael Hull in P12, Eric Arneke in P13, together with Fuk and Hosman both share 8 points. Matt Malcolm is P15 in with 5 points. Martin Foster P16, followed by Ackerman Kelly, Oscar Correa and Lillian Sinclair with 0 points. And those are the GT4 standings as well. And we just had split 2 standings. So if I'm not wrong, that is this second event in the mini British GT season in 2025 done. And what a second round we've had, filled with chaos, filled with tears and joys of other drivers. I want to thank all our partners, and obviously our partners, Moser Racing, Coach Dave Academy, Greenman Gaming, and Motorsport UK, IMB Raceware, we can't forget as well, and Coach Dave Delta neither. Thank you for watching this race. We'll be back next week at Alton Park for the third round in the mini British GT season here in 2025 at Racing Club International. My name was Dan. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel. let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss us goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Feel the rush, see the goal. Every second, take control. The world blurs, time won't wait. We rise, we fight, we accelerate. 3, 2, 1, go. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. We're always chasing taillights. You ready?